What is up, guys? Welcome to our very first episode of the Severed Floor. And this is the Real Uncommon Podcast. It's our 184th live stream. This is a one-off, everyone, for whoever is watching this, either live or on the replay. We're just going to have some fun here. We're with some community members, and we're going to talk about the TV show Severance. If you guys don't know what the TV show Severance is, I'll give you guys a brief synopsis. But let's say hi to everybody on the panel first. We'll start with VideoShane. How are you?
Hey, everybody. How you doing? This is going to be fun. This is absolutely my favorite show that's on right now. So I'm very excited to be doing this.
Let's go. And how are you, Biggest Bro?
This is Audi Biggest Bro reporting. I love this show. I think a lot of people love this show, and I'm really excited to talk about it. Woo! yeah.
And the one and only, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, fellas? It's been a good day. Trying to catch up with everything, but yeah, I'm excited to talk about this awesome show. Already season 2 in the making. So it's been mind blowing, like literally. So let's get to talking about it because it's a really cool show. It's one of the hot topics that I've seen and heard in like spaces and on the internet. So yeah, let's talk about it.
Now, guys, there will be spoilers. I see you, Robin, there. I'm sorry, man. I want you to hang, but this is going to be a spoiler-filled live stream. So everyone look there. Spoiler warnings. That's going to happen right there. But before we start, let's kind of like give a little backstory and why we're doing this. We're chatting in DMs about the show. That's how much we like the show so much that we just decided, well, let's just go live and talk story. This is kind of what we do already. We're all kind of talking heads on live stream. VideoShane, he's a McFarlane mod. He does a lot of live shows over there. The Biggest Bro is everyone's co-host and one of the hosts for VV Radio. He does a lot of hosting as well, and so is D. So this is our element. This is why we're here, and we're just here to have some fun as friends and to talk story. And I think that's about it, guys.
Yeah.
So let's get started real quick. So, guys, what is Severance? For the people in the back of the room that have never heard of the TV show Severance, it's an Apple TV Plus series that premiered, I think, back in 2022, and it's directed by Ben Stiller. And it's essentially a psychological thriller with kind of a sci-fi workplace drama mix, I guess. The story follows Mark S., or Mark Scout, and he's played by the actor Adam Scott, and his team at the Lumen Industries. And we'll get into the team of who that is later. And what is Lumen? Well, it's a very shady mega corporation. And the synopsis or procedure of what Severance is a surgical split between the employees' memories so their work selves don't intermingle with their personal selves. So essentially at work, they got no clue about what they're doing outside of their work environment and vice versa. So it really gives a crazy storytelling element to that. Season 1, which is like a 9-episode season, it basically digs into Mark's life as well. It gives us backstory on everybody that is a part of the show, a part of MDR, and as well as what Lumen is. And we'll kind of leave it at that. The characters involved in the show is, like I said again, Mark Scout, or Mark S. He's the protagonist in this. He's kind of like the team leader at Lumen Industries, and he undergoes the severance procedure, which kind of splits his work and personal life, as I kind of mentioned. And they call the split of the outside world and the inside world the outies and the innies. So basically, a lot of this takes place in the inner world, or the innie world, excuse me. Another character is called Helly R, or they call her Helly Riggs. Dylan George, Irving Bailiff. I believe those are the 4 in MDR, Micro Data Refinement. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Some of the other characters in this show is Seth Milchick, and he's basically a Lumen employee, and he oversees what they call the Severed Floor, aptly named after our show. Another character is called Harmony Cobell. She's also another Lumen employee, and she was kind of the mastermind in season 1. And there's a few other characters that we can go into as well throughout the show. But let me also give you guys a quick synopsis of season 2, and let me know if I'm losing anybody here, guys. Season 2 kind of picks up after like the crazy season 1 finale. in the season 1 finale, the employees of Lumen went through this thing called a what was it called? An overtime contingency, where essentially they're able to visit the outside world where the signals in their chip, I guess, gets crossed. I don't know, guys. Kind of explain that to me a little bit. I'm kind of lost on that one. So essentially, what happened here? There we go. Essentially, they went through that contingency and it switched on the chips to where their innie selves could be on the outside world. And so a lot of these people who are in the inside, they were kind of able to feel the outside world for the first time. And so that's kind of where season 2 starts. And it kind of goes into like a wild adventure after that. Am I missing anything, guys?
That was pretty good synopsis for me.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay,
If
cool.
you're going to give an overview, perfect. Yeah, let's go.
All right, guys, moving on. And for a lot of people who are watching, they've probably already seen the show and they know what season 2 is about. All right, so let's get into specifically the recent episode, guys. We're going to be talking a lot about season 2, episode 7. That's kind of where we are. And we're just going to fast forward to that. So essentially, in season 2, episode 7, they call it Chike Bardo. And basically, Chike Bardo is a, let's see right here. It's a Tibetan Buddhist concept. It's considered the first stage of death where consciousness separates from the body. And that kind of mirrors what Mark has gone through, because Mark is going through a state right now where he's doing what they call a process of reintegration, where he's basically trying to combine the two innies and outies together. I'm hoping I'm not getting that one wrong as well. So essentially, let's break down season 2, episode 7, which gave us a really good idea on who Mark's wife was, or the character Gemma. So Mark has a reintegration crisis in the beginning, right? So what happens? The episode opens basically with Mark, and he's kind of just pretty much vulnerable on the couch. He's unconscious. He's pretty much seizing because he went through reintegration in episode 6, where they flooded his chip in the back of his brain with water. And so he's on the couch. He's going through like what they call a journey right now. His sister's there, Devin, as well as Dr. Is it Ragabi? Dr. Ragabi?
Ragabi, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so they're kind of dealing with the aftermath of basically what happened in episode 6, where Ragabi flooded the back of Mark's head with water to kind of like trip up the chip. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so key details on that. Mark collapses and he pretty much, loses his sense of being from the experimental procedures right there. Another thing that happened in this episode, we get to learn more about Mark and Gemma's love story. So there's a lot of flashbacks going in this episode. We also get to learn about Gemma on the testing floor. And we get to see a lot of what Lumen is doing with their experimentation goals. We notice there's some watchers that are watching the micro data refinement team. And if you notice, guys, those watchers kind of look like them as well. They have like similar body builds. There's a big guy that kind of looks like Dylan and so forth. So they kind of have like matching looks, at least from what I've noticed. I don't know if you guys seen that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also in the episode, Gemma tries to make an escape from the floor itself, and it kind of failed horribly. And lastly, Mark awakens and he kind of figures out what's going on, because we get to see him on that journey, right? So essentially, let's go to Gemma's backstory, guys. In this episode, we finally get to see the details of Gemma's life before Lumen, showing kind of like how they first met. They met at a blood drive. We find out that, a love interest sparks. They get married, and then they try to have a baby. And there's issues with that because they have a miscarriage. And so there's a lot of things going on in this episode. So the question is, how do you think Gemma and Mark's past kind of changes their perception of their relationship? And what is Mark's motivation throughout this series?
Well, I mean, from the very beginning of the series, his motivation has been initially to get over the loss of his wife. One thing that we didn't mention was that the reason why Mark decides to sever himself is to deal with the loss of his wife. She passed away in a car accident, and that's one of the big discoveries that happens in season 1, is that we find out that his wife is actually down in the severed floor, and we don't know why she's down there during the first part of season 1. And the big revelation, obviously, that happens at the end of season 1 is that when they do the overtime contingency, that we find out that the Audi Mark realizes that she's still alive. She's alive. And so there's been a lot of speculation. A lot of people have been theorizing that they've cloned her in some fashion, but I think that even the cast has come out and said that that's not the case. And I think they made that pretty clear in this episode that essentially what they've done is they just swapped out bodies. They had this staged car accident, and she was willing to go under that procedure in order to have a child. Like you said, they had a miscarriage, and she was willing to do whatever it took to have a child, and she was willing to go through the severed procedure in order to do that. And so now, unfortunately, she's being held captive by Lumen. At least that's the way it appears. And so they have obviously ulterior motives for what they're trying to accomplish. And I think a lot of it has to do with Kier and them wanting to bring that person back in some fashion. But just the attention to detail in all of the kind of esoteric things that they're talking about what does it mean to be alive, and it works on so many different levels, because it also just works on a very basic level about this idea of work-life balance, and what does it mean to just always be at work, and that's your entire existence, and what does it mean to not have to go to work? It doesn't seem like not ever having to go to work makes them happier on the outside, because none of the Audis seem like they're incredibly happy. If you look at Dylan on the outside world, his outside world is not going spectacular. And, Mark seems like he's constantly in a state of depression. And even Irving, he's constantly painting, the stress of whatever he's experiencing. He's internalizing it, and it's coming out through his artwork. Helly is a little bit different because she volunteered to do it for different reasons. And initially I thought that Helly was more of a mastermind, and this season is showing me that she's more of just a figurehead. She's just a kind of a puppet, a pawn. Yeah. It's definitely, it's making it clear that her handler, that bigger guy, is the one more in control of what's going on downstairs, for sure.
And so, just for people who don't understand, Kier Egan is the founder of Lumen Industries, and he was literally the first CEO of the mega corporation right there. Big Bro, what's your thoughts on the question?
Man, it's hard for me not to just go into just all the different theories that are going in my head, but what do I think Mark's purpose is, and what is his reason, and what ultimately it's to find Gemma. It's to free her. Mentioning the Audi discovering about Gemma being alive in the season 1, we see the entire season 2. He's trying to fight that feeling. Like, no, I buried her. It's done. Don't like.
Yeah.
He's
he doesn't
fighting.
want to deal with it. He doesn't want to deal with it.
Exactly. He wishes he could sever that. You know what I'm saying? So it's but I think his innie is who he was before all this happened, and that was the whole idea of him wanting to go down there and like forget it. I think he wants to find Gemma. I think Audi Mark's motivations for stuff is just really interesting, because I find him just in a state of confusion this entire time. He's like awake, like what's happening? What is this? Like he's just like he's discovering everything at like all the time. Yeah. Like people are living in his house. He's getting kidnapped. It's all sorts of crazy stuff. But yeah, I mean, I just think deep down, it can because of his relationship with Helly, and he shot twice. You know what I mean? He shot twice, so the baby might be on the way. You know what I'm saying?
Pause.
Like, hey, he did. With questionably two different people in the same body. But, you know what I mean? Like that. Like now, it comes into like, all right, now what is Mark rooting for? Are we rooting for any Mark to have his relationship with Helly, or are we rooting for Audi Mark to finally come to grips and win his wife back? Like having that emotion of thinking you lost something, and he's talking about like the grieving process and stuff like that, and like wanting, like, I would do anything to have it back.
Mhm.
So yeah. What does Mark want? Two different things, man, because we're dealing with two different Marks.
Mhm.
That's a very good synopsis right there, man. Very good breakdown right there. D, what do you think?
What would you even do in that case? Like, if your memory, like, say you hit your head or something and you had amnesia and you forgot that you had a wife, so you fell in love with someone else, and then you regained your memory, and it's like, oh shit, now I have two women. Like, what do you do? Like, do you go with, because essentially you've built relationships with both of them, but you really can't have both of them. So do you go back to your original love or like your new love? It's so confusing. It's like the choices you got to make, right? Especially like when you're both worlds kind of like collide in a way, and get all intermingled. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see like Mark and just kind of like basically in like the sleepwalking state, and then yeah, he gets severed to like start as a clean slate sort of deal. So it's really interesting. And this like latest episode that we watched, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so sweet. It's like, they have this whole backstory, and then I don't know, just him and Haley. It's like that's like an office affair all over again. Come on now, it's like seriously. Like, I don't know. That's just my idea. That's my thoughts on that.
So the way I'm looking at it, the way you guys have all described, and mainly touching on what you said, bro, is Mark wants two different things, but only one Mark really knows. You know what I mean? If you think about it, like Audi Mark has no idea that there is any interest in Helly other than he had that awkward scene with her in the restaurant, right?
Right.
So he doesn't know that he slept with her in the any world. Furthermore, he doesn't also know that they also have an idea of where Gemma might be, right? With the testing floor. So and what I noticed too with the Audi people, specifically, all of them except for maybe Helly, but we don't even know. Maybe Helly's going through it as well. And we're just not seeing it.
Yeah.
Is they're all going through some type of crisis, some type of personal crisis or existential crisis, but they're always being put through the meat grinder. And what's so relatable about that in this episode is we see Gemma go through the same thing throughout all these rooms. They're literally putting her through emotional turmoil in every single room, from writing, those cards to like the dentist to the creepy doctor. And she's a prisoner. Like at first when this episode first started, I'm like, man, this thing is so boring. And I thought, is Severance really going to have like, finally, this is going to be the episode. I'm like, yeah, but it turned into a horror flick to me. Like insanely, like there's a lady that's trapped in some laboratory as a lab rat. And she's got to go through torture in every room in order for not only for her to maybe get a baby, but also to see her husband again. Right. And to have all this cryptic stuff told to her. So I don't know. That's the way I look at it. But specifically on what Mark wants, I really think the Audi Mark really doesn't know what he wants yet. Maybe until reintegration. I don't know.
Hey, to build on what you said about like watching this episode, the first time I watched this episode, I was just like, I don't know. And then like at the end, I was like, oh. And then when I watched it again, I was like, oh, crap.
I get to watch it again. So.
Yeah. It's like Fight Club, right? Like you watch Fight Club, and like, all right, and then you watch it again, like, oh crap. This is crazy.
Okay, well, you know what? Let's touch more on the testing floor. All right. So we discover now what is going on in Lumen's testing floor. That has been kind of like the elephant in the room for at least a season and a half. So we learned that Gemma is alive and trapped in Lumen's testing floor down below, and it's like right below the severed floor. And so essentially she's testing these rooms. She's moving between rooms that kind of activate different personalities within Gemma, and she turns into different people. Like there's one room where she was in a dentist chair, another room where there was a Christmas scene where she was writing the Christmas cards. So the episode kind of suggests Lumen is testing the limits of the Severance technology, the chip in their brain, maybe possibly to see how many identities one person can hold, or what makes the chip malfunction, depending if there's like a emotional barrier that causes that. Because we all know that there's the the contingency they went through, so we know they can sever the link at any time or reintegrate it. So the question is, what do you guys think Lumen's ultimate goal is with these experiments on Gemma, and how might it connect to the broader purpose of the entire series?
I will. I'm down.
Go for it.
This is testing the human. Lumen is testing to see how much like stress they could put on somebody to test these chips. And Gemma is literally an ultimate lab rat. Each one of those rooms is a different severed person of Gemma that's in those rooms that lives in perpetuity Christmas. And she hates writing Christmas cards. That's what Mark said in one of the episodes. She's stuck in that. Christmas person only knows Christmas. That dentist person only knows the dentist. That's why she was like, "Can I have a break?" He was like, "No, this is like 6 weeks later. We're doing another cleaning right now." Like, I think ultimately they're trying to make it so like you don't have to experience any kind of discomfort or pain throughout your life. They want to make it so like with the lady that had the pregnancy and she was severed. And so like you don't have to experience pregnancy. You don't have to experience the dentist anymore. You don't have to experience any of this kind of pain. We can make it so that this random part of your brain shuts off and there's a whole other person that's dealing with all this stuff, but it's not you. And that's, the American way, right? Like, as long as I'm not dealing with it, it's okay. But that's the thing. Like, they have Gemma down there, and I think that's what it is. I think that's what the whole testing is. I think they got Gemma from the blood, man. Like Lumen was at the blood drive. Like they had this plan the whole time. Yeah. Like it's kind of crazy because like that could really happen, and people would go for it. People would chip up right now. They'd be like, I don't have to deal with this. Like, imagine just the person, like the severed part of you that doesn't have to go to traffic anymore. Like you turn off and you're there at your destination. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, we discovered in season 1 that the 1%ers, they literally sever themselves from like birth, right? Like as in like when they give birth to a child, they sever themselves so they don't have to experience that. So something similar in that respect. What do you think about that, Shane?
Well, it's interesting. There's a couple of different things I've been thinking about these severed personalities. And, it becomes a philosophical question of if they're actual people. And, the Audis often talk about them. And even who's the young girl that they introduced this season?
Miss Wong.
Miss Wong. She even makes a comment about don't let them feel like they're real people.
Yes.
And so, but they are people. They're fully developed real people. And this is, becomes a philosophical question of even when they retire them, and they've talked about this, that you're essentially killing them. And so, how far do you let them exist before you essentially kill them, right? And this idea that there's multiple of Gemma down there, that's an interesting development that we've not seen before, with multiple personalities. And then that opens even more questions about the idea of multiple personality disorder, people that are suffering from that. How many personalities can you have existing within a person? There's a book series that I read a few years ago. It's really, really good. It's called Legion, and it's about a detective, and he has multiple personality disorder. And it's interesting. They kind of use his different personalities come in when they need him. So like there's a tough guy personality, that there's an analytic personality, there's like a sophisticated one. And so when he's in these different situations, his brain allows him to switch between them, and then they like talk to themselves in a room, like in his head almost. It's it's a great series if you ever want to check it out. But the other thing that I've been thinking about a lot is this idea of how they're almost childlike when they first come in when we first introduced Helly, like, or the first time we see Mark, like when they lay him out on the floor, and they have enough understanding of the world and vocabulary, but they're still childlike in a lot of ways. And so, that also opens the door to a lot of philosophical questions about, this idea of when does life start and what does life mean? And yeah, it can get pretty deep if you start and think about that in that way.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Dean.
Well, you guys said some really nice, interesting, great points. So this last one where we saw Miss Casey in all the different rooms, for me, I'm just like, I don't know, like as a female, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's getting used and abused. It kind of like reminded me of that other show called I believe it's called Dollhouse.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was like, dang, I mean,
she was in it.
Yeah, so I'm like, if like, why are they showcasing like Miss Casey as this test subject? So you got me thinking, like, maybe she's one of the ones that went through the testing like the most and could tolerate everything that she's going through the most, and that's why they keep like putting her through all these different rooms just to see how much it would take to essentially break her to where she's like Petey, where he's like, just out of control and kind of out of their mind kind of thing, just going like literally crazy. So yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I think they're doing all that testing on her to find like to perfect the serum that they need to be able to give like anyone from the outside world this option of an alternative life kind of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know necessarily that Lumen gives a crap about the side benefits of you being able to separate yourself to experience these terrible things and not have to experience them. I think that's just it's almost like when Facebook gives you this platform for free. Look at what we've given you for
that's
free.
How they sell it. Yeah,
right.
That's how they
but
sell
they don't
it.
really care about that at all. They care about your data and how much money you can make for them through your data. And
True.
I think the same idea applies here. Giant corporations really don't care at all about you as a human being. And what they really want is something else. And then they don't make that as obvious. And I think that comes back to them wanting to bring this person back from the dead. And how can they make them as a real version of that as they were originally. So yeah, I think there's so many commentaries that they're making about life and society and where we're at.
Yeah, I think for Lumen itself, I mean, if we're talking about a mega corporation, think of them as like a nefarious Walmart in a sense. They're testing products. The Severed people is a product. They're literally treating them like products. They're not humans, right? They're an ID number down there.
Yeah.
So
Helly said it. She was like, "You are not a person."
Yes.
You're not a person. You're a product. And so essentially, and the product they're talking about, not necessarily the vessel, but the chip in their head. You know what I mean? That to me, and I agree with you, Shane. They're trying to resurrect Kier, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
And I guess we could have an entire stream about what Lumen is and the cult of Kier, if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Right? But we that's for another. That's like a Lost Island moment, if you think about it, right? So, because this is what the show really reminds me of. I'm not saying it's like Lost, but it's like Lost in a sense. Is there's way more questions than answers, and there's an overlooming shadow, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the TV series Lost, it was either the shadow monster or the actual island. Like, what the hell is that? Same with Lumen. What is Lumen, right? And so, to me, what's going on with Miss Casey, and in the sense of what they're trying to do, they're testing this product. All these severed people are product. And the thing, really think about, like, what really got me in this episode, we got to see a past of Mark, his sister Devin, and their environment where they lived prior to now, where Mark's living now, was completely different.
Yeah.
It felt like they were in like an urban area, you know what I mean? Or in like a city.
Yeah.
Where the hell is Lumen? Where is this snowy place they live now with all these houses that are really intermingled and close together? And the biggest question I have here is, why is the sister living there? You know, if they were living out like whatever the college was, which is also like a Lumen thing, right? Wherever this urban city was, assumingly that's where they all lived prior. Why are they all in this snowy town? Where is the snowy town? Why is all the tech old? Like, look at all the tech they're using. It looks like they're from the 80s, but yet they have this high-tech chip in their head. They've got all these testing floors. You know, they can mimic different personalities. So the rabbit hole is deep in here, but to me, I think they're really testing to try to resurrect Kier. They're testing this product to where you're right. You could, what if you wanted to be somebody else? You know, you could like change into different personalities, or maybe you have subset of personalities inside you this whole time, and you can switch around them, like kind of like a multiple personality disorder, as you was kind of describing earlier.
Yeah. Well, definitely the town that the housing that Mark is in is definitely Lumen housing. It's, you know, corporate housing, and that's why it's, you know, all compressed together. They're all, you know, townhomes in this kind of depressed, snowy area for sure. It's as far as, you know, where this exists, that's another interesting topic to discuss, because the town itself, if you've ever looked at any of the pause the video to watch any of the mail, it's a town that doesn't exist. So it's you know, its own separate world. And you know, part of me thinks that there's a lot of references to the Civil War.
Yes.
And part of me thinks that this is an alternate
Cold
timeline.
Harbor?
Yeah, Cold Harbor, exactly. A separate timeline that, I don't know, you know, something happened at that point in history. So yeah, and that would address some of the issues as far as the tech, like you're talking about.
It's like a parallel universe.
It is like a parallel universe for sure. Yeah. My biggest concern is I was a huge fan of Lost, and I loved the water cooler talk that we had about Lost. It was just like we're having right now. Used to stand around and you know, have deep conversations about all the mysteries that were unfolding. My problem with the ending of Lost, I didn't feel like they stuck the landing, as they often say. And I
will
really,
say I've never seen Lost.
Okay.
I admit that.
You don't.
I will. I know. I know.
Like
I know.
said,
I know.
they didn't stick
I feel
the
the
landing.
shame. I feel
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. But I really, I hope they have an ending in mind, and I have faith, you know, that Ben Stiller can pull it out. But you know, it gets tricky when it is show business, right? And there's the second half of that is very important for a company like Apple. They want to get as many subscribers as they can to their platform, and so unfortunately, what happens is they'll sometimes drag things out. And force, you know, people to write longer than what they had intended. So I just hope that they stick to what they wanted, the story they wanted to tell. Like with before we got on, we were talking about Ted Lasso, also on Apple. Amazing show. And I thought 3 seasons, perfect. Chef's kiss. They ended it, perfect.
Well, they're coming back.
Now they're talking about bringing it back, and it's like,
yeah, sometimes it's not really the best choice, but yeah, corporate ones.
As much as I want it.
I want it. Give it to me.
You know, it did great. Like, it was, I know.
But they better not mess it up.
Yeah.
See, I'm in a different boat. Like, I know we're tangenting here about Ted Lasso, but I actually felt like didn't end it well for
Oh,
me.
you didn't? Oh, interesting.
Yes, I felt like there's more to tell with that story.
Okay.
And that's and you know, if we get another season, make it super short, like 5 episodes at the most, right?
Okay.
Like as a reunion, reintroduction kind of thing, because I don't think all the cast can come back. But
Mm.
also, let's talk about Lost. I enjoyed the series finale.
Did you
But
really?
I did. I
Okay.
did. But here's the
Hey.
thing. So I have a connection to the show because I had a friend who was a grip on there. So I've actually met the cast. I've met J.J. Abrams. I've met Damon Lindelof. And my favorite actor was Terry, the bald guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a super cool guy.
Yeah.
I met Evangeline Lilly at the time. She was, you know, a party animal, and a lot of those guys did a lot of drugs back then. Don't ask me how I know. Not that I did any, by the way. Full disclosure, it wasn't me.
We're going off on a deep tangent.
Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Yeah. Anyway, so
keep it going.
needless to say, I've been to wrap up parties before, and so I have a connection to the show. But I actually enjoyed the series finale of that. But let's get back to Severance here.
Okay.
So,
Yo, all right. I want to talk about what you said with the sister. Now, you talked to me earlier today, and I went and watched that thing back, right? Because like it bothered me. I was like, you know what? That is weird that she lives in there. Why is she living there? And you know what? She had a cell phone that looked up to date. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, you know, why does she have a cell phone? And why is she so persistent on calling this lady? Like, what is it? If I find out
But
she
not any
works for
cell phone.
Lumen,
It's a
I swear.
smartphone. It's a
Uh-huh.
smartphone.
Yeah.
It's a smartphone.
Yeah,
Right?
she had a smart. That's
With
what.
old tech.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that.
And they
was
kept
like,
paneling
bothered
to
me.
that part. They kept going back
They
to her
zoomed.
the
They
phone.
zoomed in on her phone. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is for sure. It's not even an Apple. This is definitely an Android too. Like, this is leaving green bubbles. But like, bro, if I find out she's working for Lumen, that's demonic, bro. Like, that's crazy.
Well, but maybe it's not her. Maybe it's her husband, right? You know, the book writer.
Bro.
We don't know much about him, right?
You're giving him a lot of credit.
But like, all right, so like,
okay, I get what you're saying. But then he could play the fool, right? It's always the one person we don't suspect.
That's true. That's true.
Dude, all right. So now that we know that Gemma is able to be severed multiple times, I think some of our people is severed in the like our outside people is it like you said, but I think it's Irvin. I think Irvin for sure because I think that's a severed version, and the real Irvin is somewhere else. Like,
interesting.
Because he's just in there painting. He's painting about the hallway. Like he knows something, but the notes and the maps and everything else is way more meticulous than somebody that's just focusing on painting like that every single day. You know what I mean? So like, I think that the real Irvin may have like discovered something. I don't know, but I know for sure he knows about that, like whatever room it is where they know the history and stuff like that. Like he's full fledged. Like he knows a lot of the history, so he must have been in there a bunch of times. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. There's so many. Like this episode, like blew my brain out. Like
you make a good point. In reality, if this is kind of like a town which is a testing ground in itself, really think about that, right? Like we know the innies as just being on the severed floor in Lumen's building. But what if there are more innies actually on the outie world? We don't really know how far this goes, right? Because we don't know if the testing ground doesn't expand outside of the Lumen building itself. It could be this entire town.
Yeah. Even when they gave him the little treat in the first season, it was like to this random restaurant, like, oh, here, take the little voucher to this restaurant where I'm pretty sure they all go to. You know what I mean? Like, it's dude.
Well, I think we've already established that innies can exist outside of the severed floor because of the woman who was pregnant and obviously had a different person give birth. So, and obviously, because of the overtime contingency, they were able to have the innies in the outside world whenever they felt like it. So it's not just the elevator that is able to trigger it. It's something within the chip itself.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting. So let's move on. So let's talk about Cold Harbor itself, or at least the mystery around Cold Harbor. So the episode that we just watched, Chico Bardo, it highlights the room Cold Harbor, and it's being kind of described as the final room that Gemma has to enter. She's entered every single other room, and they all had funky names, but this one room is now called Cold Harbor, and we've heard that name before. So coinciding with Mark's near completion of Cold Harbor, which is the project that he's doing on the Severed Floor itself, and it's a bunch of numbers and stuff that they're putting in the computers, Dr. Maurer, which is like the strangest looking dude, and like I feel like he's like he reminds me of like he came from like a I can't remember the. I'll get back to that, but like one of those horror directors right there, like a Rob Zombie movie. I feel like he's from like that type of thing right there. But anyways, Dr. Maurer, and he's with Drummond, who's the big guy, right? They're with the Watchers, and they hint that finishing that room will lead to Gemma's departure, and that's possibly hinted as her death or maybe a release. But we're really looking at it. Maybe they're just going to retire her, like retire the product in a sense. But we're not really sure. So
after she's been sired, that's what he said.
After she's been sired,
that's what she said.
Yeah. So there's probably more than meets the eye. Maybe there's going to ritual involved. But basically, the question is, what do you predict Cold Harbor represents, and how might it completion affect both Gemma and Mark?
Well, my personal feeling is that there's zero intention of them ever reuniting those two. I don't think that they care about that at all. So season 3 is probably going to be about some sort of rescue mission. They'll discover at the end of season 2 that she definitely is alive, and all of season 3 will be how do they figure out how to shut the chip off and get down and save her. And it's some sort of an escape the entire season, because that doctor is definitely not going to let his pet escape because he is obsessed with her. That's pretty obvious. It's also very interesting that he puts on different outfits and personalities in these rooms, and they're theatrical in nature and not psychological in nature. He's performing differently, even though it doesn't seem like he really has to, because there are different Gemma personalities in there, and they wouldn't know if it's the same person or not. So it's interesting that he's putting on these kind of theatrics and different, facial hair and
get into the role.
Yeah,
it's because it's because he loves her. No. It's because he loves her, and he's trying to figure out why he's doing double duty. He's doing his job, but he's like, "Oh, do you like me in the Christmas sweater? Do you like me as a doctor?"
Yeah.
Girl, I'll figure it out. Nah, he got a family and everything now. He forgot about you. He don't know you no more, girl. Give it to like
I'll be whatever you want, girl.
I'll be whatever you want.
You gotta tell me I love you, right?
Yeah. This dude, he wants it.
Yeah.
And he's nefarious about it too, right?
Yeah.
He is nefarious.
Yep.
But it's from the beginning, bro. Like from when she was in the clinic, he was there.
Yeah.
That's what dude.
He was in season 1.
Oh, bro.
Stalker
Season
mode?
1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Stalker for sure.
So it's like, it's okay. In order to talk about like Cold Harbor, right? Because there's so many different things you can go like war history, time, like there's all
what kind
sorts
of
things
room
around
would it be? What kind of scenario are they going to put in that room for her?
Oh, I
like
know exactly what it is.
Like
it's drowning. It's 100% Gemma getting drowned over and over and over and over again. That's exactly what it is. These are different scenarios that the refiners are refining the chips. They are figuring out. That's why they said Mark, like with Allentown, right? That's the one with the thank you notes. And he perfected that. He did that's why he has like the little glass picture of himself on the table, because he did it so fast. But that's what they're doing. They're refining the chips to make sure that these people, they go through all these traumatic things, and then they go, what do you remember about that? Do you remember anything? No? Because that way I can make you do some crazy ass shit. And then as long as you don't remember nothing, I have a perfect person, a perfect soldier, a perfect whatever you need him to do. Because they're white. I think that's Cold Harbor, and I think that's why Mark is taking like something in his head is telling him to take his time with this one and not finish it because he doesn't want to put Gemma through that. Because I think my bad, I'm going, but like I was listening to the talk yesterday, the Couch Critics on Twitter. They were talking about the show too.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them. Shout out to them. They were talking about Casey mentioned that the next episode is only 37 minutes, which makes me sad. And that's what VideoShane, like when you said that about like what they make the producers do, and then I was like, this is why it's 37 minutes. They're just gonna just kick us in the gut and just be like, deuces for a year, homie. You're gonna be back. You waited 2 years, you're gonna wait another year. Like,
yeah, torture.
I think that's what it is.
Is the next one the series season finale already?
That's it. Game
I thought there was 2 more.
I thought there's 2 more. It's 10 episodes.
Yeah, it's 10.
It's
Are
10.
you
It's
sure?
not 9. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 10.
Please tell me I'm wrong. I want to be wrong so bad.
It's 10.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I know we're talking about Cold Harbor and Mark finishing that. This is just something I'm thinking about. What if all of those rooms were all of the various tasks that Mark completed? What if there's a different person for each one of them? Because each one of them is working on a different thing that they're putting in boxes. What if we find out that Irving, he's also working on another person essentially, as well as Devin?
Very
because why would if the whole point is Mark understands what her fears and who she is as a human being, he would be the only one that would be able to complete all of the tasks for Gemma.
But everybody else does too, yeah.
But they're working on it, but we don't know necessarily that they're all working on her stuff. I don't know. It just, I feel like he has obviously a deep connection to Gemma. I don't know.
That's why it's important for him to complete Cold Harbor.
Yeah.
I see where you're getting at, because if you look at Gemma when she was leaving her room on the testing ground, there's a room across of her with an unmarked door.
Yeah.
Yes.
So who's to say that there's not someone else in there? And who's to say they built a testing ground just for Gemma?
Exactly.
You've seen all those doors. There's so many doors, right?
Yeah,
and
that's what I was thinking.
Perspective of Gemma with how many rooms she's done. Like, you know, at the beginning of the episode, like how many rooms you got? 6 rooms, and she kind of rolls her eyes like, oh my god, right? You know what I mean? And so it sounds like there are 7 rooms for her, but there are way more doors than 7 doors.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's super interesting. Just why are we focusing so much on Gemma? And like, you know, as a test subject, like what about these other people you guys are right? Like, oh man, this show is so great.
Well, I think they're stress testing these chips, like, because we can see already these chips have some side effects, and there's probably some issues with them as well. And it's like anything that you stress test in the world, where it's a computer program, servers, you have to put it through the ringer. We call them testing labs, the testing floor, right? So they're stress testing this product, and they're putting her through the ringer to make sure that the chip is functioning in optimal ways, no matter how much turmoil she's going through in these rooms. You know, whether her arm is sore or her hands are sore from writing, or her teeth are sore from whatever dentist thing she's going through. It's kind of nuts. How you guys like my animation?
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I agree with you. They're testing software. I mean, and they're trying to perfect it before they move it on to release. I was watching another video breakdown. Once I watch one episode, I start going down a rabbit hole of watching all these people that analyze it, and they're talking about the various types of personalities and the way that you break down a human being into the personality types. And you know, like it's showing on the video right now below us, the way that Cold Harbor could fit within this certain personality type or aspect of people's personalities. And so there's a lot of interesting stuff that I've been watching about that as well. Like Woe and Dread, and it's hard for me to remember off the top of my head right now, but So yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting look at the psychology of human and what makes up a human being.
Yeah, it's a very deep show. D, thoughts?
Oh man.
Oh man.
Like, yeah, I'm with you guys on the whole, like, I mean, obviously this is like Mark and Gemma are like the core people that we kind of focus on and their issues, and him doing all this what do you call this when he's putting the numbers together?
Data refinement.
Yeah, data refinement.
Macro data refinement.
MDR.
Micro
Yeah,
data.
right. I was also curious, like, why we don't really see much of the other guys that work with him, and also like there must be like so many, I'm assuming so many levels and floors, because like when Mark came back, he had new coworkers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like, who the hell are those people, and why do those people and the people watching them work look freaking like them? Like what's so special about those people? And
I love
the whole team.
those I love those introduction of those other teams, because they talked about the various locations that they came from, and the one guy that talked about how poor they were, they use brooms with paper plates as their models for the Cure family. Hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But just like they're around the world, like they're
all over the place.
They're all over the place. Like these people came from a different branch that shut down, and these two were working together, and now they moved them over here. And
Lumen is Google. That's what they are.
Oh yeah,
like
Lumen is Elon. What are we talking about? Literal chips and everything. Chips and everything, bro. This is Ben Stiller is
the chip in your head, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing that I loved was, after those people got released, and the short moment when he's walking out as Mark's walking in, and the guy's like, I just moved my whole family here and now I'm getting fired. And so, yeah, just more about, the giant corporation doesn't give a crap about you as a human being. You're just
another number.
Object. You're no different than a lamp.
What a relatable trope.
Yeah. This is crazy. I can't even there's just so much just in one episode alone.
Yeah.
And like how we went on YouTube after, and we also watched a couple breakdowns, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I did notice that. And then you have to watch an episode like 3 or 4 times repeatedly to find little things in the background.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, this happened and this correlates to this episode and season 1. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta go back to season 1.
I love shows like this because the Easter eggs matter.
Oh yeah.
One of the things that I hate about shows is when they give you little details and you're holding on to it, like, oh, this is definitely going to come back. This is definitely going to come back. I'm going to get my third wish. No, you're not. No, you're not.
No, we're not.
It's not there.
Well, the other thing for me, just as an artist and a filmmaker, is I love it when a show elevates to this level, and every department in filmmaking raises to that same level. And what I mean by that is, to make a film or a television series, it takes a lot of people. You've got, the actors, you've got the cinematographer, you've got the gaffers, you've got the sound, the costumes. And it seems like now the entire everybody is raising to that level. And what I mean by that is I just watched another one recently about the sound and the intricacies that they're putting into the subtle differences in the way that they do sound for the innies as opposed to the outies, and just little subtle audio cues that they do. And obviously I watched another piece about the cinematographer that works on this show, and the way that they do the lighting downstairs in the the Severed Floor as opposed to the lighting that's upstairs in the outside world, and just the composition of the shots, all of it is just raising it to the next level. So it's just a beautiful piece of art. Yeah, this kind of stuff right there is amazing, and that actor is so good.
He is
I
so
love-
good.
Milkshake.
Milkshake. Oh my gosh.
I love to hate him. I love
Oh
to
my
hate
gosh.
him.
Yeah.
That little dig on his name, Milkshake, when they did that in that one episode was just
He is so good because he
He is
puts
great.
on like the most. He is my favorite character in
Has
this
many
entire
hats.
show, by the way. Is
Yeah.
this guy because I feel like there's more than meets the eye with that guy, but I had to bring that up real quick. But like, let's keep moving, guys. Let's keep moving on these talking points right here. So we kind of talked already about Cold Harbor. We have an idea of what we think that represents and what Lumen is doing. But let's talk about the evil doctor, Dr. Mauer, and his creepy obsession with Gemma. So Dr. Mauer, he reemerges back into Severance, and he is a freaky figure, to say the least. He's overseeing Gemma's tests and showing an unsettling attachment to her, almost like he's falling in love. He lies about Mark remarrying and suggests he's moved on with one of her innies, or one of his innies, only to be knocked out by Gemma with a chair, and she ends up running away from him on the testing ground, right? So the question is for you guys, Dr. Mauer, who's fixated with Gemma, and purely he's not being professional about it, does it hint at a personality stake for Lumen's experiments? Like, is he kind of off in his sense?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a creep. He's a stalker. He's a creep. That's all I can say. He's a creep.
Well, here's an interesting thing that I was kind of thinking about is a lot of times when in this show they'll do this, and like I was talking about earlier about how everybody's elevating their game. Obviously, the screenwriting and the dialogue is also to the next level. And when he tells her that, is he really lying though? Because technically, any Mark did fall in love with another person, right? So, in a way, kind of, he did fall in love. Now it's a different side of his personality. It's different person inside of his head, but true.
Look, man. Who knows what's happening right now? We could be looking at a story that's not on the same timeline because now we're introducing back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He could have a baby. That could be in that timing. It could be like more in the future, and he could be saying like, "Oh no, he moved on. He has a baby and a wife now, and it's
Right.
Ellie." You know what I mean? Total possibility. But is the doctor? Is he on the level? No, he a freaky boy. Like I said,
Oh, he's freaky for sure.
He wants her. Baby, what you want, what you want, girl.
He's a
I'll
freaky
put the
boy.
wig on. I'll do whatever you like.
Now, I was watching another breakdown, and they were talking about, I guess, I don't know this for certain, but this is what they had talked about, was there, apparently it's possible that two different people could have sex with somebody and end up having twins, but actually the twins, one is from the one father, and one is from the other. Now, I don't know. I would have to look that up and see if
possible.
That's okay. So now,
that is accurate.
okay. So if that happens, and one is any Mark, or any Helly and Audi Helly, like what? Now that opens up all this philosophical like dilemma about now, is that a real person? Now that you've been talking about all this stuff about they're not real people, well, they just created life. So yeah,
bro.
I mean, to me, that could be a huge element next season.
Yeah.
And then,
whose baby is it really? Like,
right.
Oh my God.
And then that causes this dramatic tension between Audi Mark and Gemma if they're able to escape. And wait a minute, you went through and had a child that we've been trying to have.
Yeah.
With another woman while I was. So the doctor,
she's not any woman too. She's
right.
not any woman, right?
She's
the daughter of the current
woman.
CEO. So
Yes.
The woman.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Like, I saw people like, why would she give in to Lumen? Like, why would she, like, if you're of the thought that she agreed to go with Lumen to be experimented on versus being kidnapped, right? Because there's two different like
Yeah.
roles you can say. Like she was a willing participant until
Right.
this all happened, or she was unwilling, and this has been just they've been led to the feeder this entire time since like Mark first met her. Like
Yeah.
who are you? You know what I mean? Like. Like this,
Yeah.
it's so
It's like Lost. Like I love the fact you brought that up about Lost, about the water cooler conversations you'd have in the mornings. I remember with my coworkers, we would like have we'd lose track of time where it's like, oh, we got to get back to work. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But that's the same conversations we're having with this specific show, and so I love it right there. It's good stuff.
And the thing is, I think these are deeper conversations. I think this is in a lot of ways a smarter show. In
for sure.
Those are just more mysterious in nature. And I don't get me wrong, I don't want to dive too deep into that tangent, but there's a magazine. I don't know if that magazine even still exists because most magazines are gone now, but there was a magazine called Wired magazine.
Yeah.
And the guy who one of the two creators of Lost, they did a whole almost an entire issue about that person, and there were tons of little secrets and stuff like written on the sides of the magazine pages and within the articles. It was a fantastic issue of Wired if you ever look it up. But he absolutely loves puzzles and games and things like that, so it all came through in that issue.
D?
I am just like lost.
It's a deep conversation, D. I get it. It's a deep conversation.
Yeah, it's a deep conversation, and there's like so many. I mean, I like having these conversations because you guys are saying stuff like I didn't think of, and like there's endless possibilities of what could actually be happening. If something happened in the innie world, could that also happen in the outer world with the same person, but not? So it's like, you just gotta get like your head on it. It's like, I said, it's mind blowing, man.
There's no more innie and outie Mark. It's just Mark now.
Yeah.
It's just Mark.
He's like gone through integration right there. I want to bring a comment to Alley Boy right here. Helena's crazy smiling at Mark at the sushi spot was his highlight of the show. She did have that weird smirk, right? Like,
she's like, oh yeah, I got some nookie.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, the whole thing about her on the outside, was she allowed to be herself and have relationships freely and almost like arranged marriages type of situation because of the status that she is and who she is on the outside world. And she was jealous, obviously, of Heliar downstairs, and she wanted what she had, and she still and it devastated Heliar that she took that away from her. So that was so this whole thing of you're not a real person. Yeah, you are, because you took something that she wanted. That can't happen, if you're not a real person. So that was powerful.
There's lots of female trauma in this show. Like, it's like, from like Helly taking her choice away. Like, you're sitting there like, wait, so what's happening, guys? Like, you're like, and then like, oh, we had to say like, what? So she, and then like, blah, and then wanting to take that power back and doing that, but is that the right solution?
Arcade.
And then like freaking with Gemma, and the reason why she did it because she lost a baby, and like people that have gone through that, like it's hard, it hurts, like it got me when he was breaking down the crib, like Marcus breaking down the crib, like that hurts. That in so many different ways, you know what I mean? Like,
and he probably remembers that, and that's part of the reason he severed himself is to get rid of all of that, right? To just disappear from that, because like when he goes home, he looks like he's a drunk or a bum.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
because in that space, right? Like, we know, like if you're in a relationship, like you think about it, like what if, you know what I mean? What if something crazy happens and like. I sit there and I tell them I don't know what I do. I would be a complete hermit. Nobody hear from me. I'd be a shell of a person. But we don't know, right? And then so would that be helpful? Like if I just severed myself and was able to like live my life for 8 hours just without that, you know what I mean? But then you think about it, like if you do that to yourself, your outer personality is only dealing with grief. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The entire time. So like it's deep, man. It's it comes with like would it be better to not feel the pain? You know, it's like is it
Yeah.
better to
And they toe
love
to
it
toe with that
lost and
almost
never
on every
love it all?
episode,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Every episode they toe with that fact, like, what would you do to get rid of that? And that's the product, really, if you think about it, right? The severance chip, that is what
Mhm.
they're offering people is an escape, or even
Yeah.
many more things like that. You could literally like you could change a person's personality if you think about it, right? Like say the president somehow gets severed and they don't know. You could like literally change that person's personality. What do they call that? They could make it a Manchurian candidate or something like that.
Yeah. Like just
I want
imagine.
to go back to Helly real quick. You talk about her, right? There was one episode where she recorded to herself, basically telling herself you're not a real person, or
Yeah.
basically stating you're not a real person.
Yeah.
Now, Helly is conditioned in the cult of Kier. She's
Mhm.
even though she's pretty much like her hands are tied and she's a puppet. She's a powerful puppet in the company, right?
Yeah.
And so we don't really know how nefarious she is. We don't know how conditioned she is in terms of the cult of Kier. But you really got to think about the cult of Kier. They're loyalists, right? They'll fight to the bone. So that means that they're trained in that cult. They're trained in the followings of Kier. So, having said that, now you have the Innie Helly. You tell the Innie Helly, who deep down inside has all those same traits as the outer Helly, she's just as powerful inside as outside. And the thing about that is I really feel like Innie Helly has way more confidence and power than the outer Helly. And so I'm interested to see how that works out when the Innie Helly just really wants to become the outer Helly. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Dude, this is a perfect example of what happens when you have a role to play. Instead of you're able to do what you want. Audi Helly has a role to play. She is the spokesperson. She's the daughter. She has to do refinement. She cannot be seen in certain light. You know what I mean? Like she has to do this. Even though she's maybe creative, maybe fierce, maybe like all these different things that Indy Helly is. Who is her, right? Like the people on the inside are still kind of the same person without the tragedy or whatever they're trying to forget, right? Like in my opinion, like Dylan, like he's kind of miserable in outside life, right? Like
I think Dylan's a double agent. I said it.
Yeah.
I said it.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Finish
go
your-
ahead. No, it's just
I got two thoughts about Helly. First, before I even say that, I just want to say that actress is one of the best actresses I've ever seen in my life. The subtleties in the way that she distinguishes between the innie and the outie, just even in the walk, the way that they walk is different. The way that they hold their head is different, and they're two distinctly different people. And I'm every time I watch the show, I'm blown away by her performance.
The way she did it, the beginning of season 2, like the first 4 episodes, when the outside's playing the inside, and 100%. She's playing it like what?
Yes, she's acting. She's unbelievable, next level. The fact that she was able to pretend like she's Innie Helly, which still has some remnants of out Helena. I'm blown away by that actress. Okay. Yeah. So with that said, there's what's that concept of nurture versus nature, and the way that who you become, like this idea of, if who you are as a human being, because there's definitely no matter, like for us, we have 2 kids and we raise them both the exact same, right? But they're their own individual people, no matter what you do everything exactly the same, they're still going to be their own individual people, right? So this idea that the outie Helena and Innie Helly, it's almost like they're 2 different, but how would they have differentiated if not under the control of her family, right? And you can see how she may the any version may have been what the Audi wanted to eventually be. You know, just there's some thought process about, you know, it just discussions about that, as once again it all comes back to like who we are as human beings. And to your point earlier, you were saying about this idea of how we process trauma, you know, is a big aspect of this show, because we don't know really, you know, why Dylan is so unhappy and you know, hasn't been able to hold down a job and just hasn't been able to get his act together. And for a lot of people, if they're processing trauma, you know, it's difficult to be able to succeed in the workforce, right? And so Severed allows you to function within the workforce. And so that's, I think, what Mark, he wasn't able to continue to doing his job as a professor because of how he was processing trauma. He just wasn't able to work. And yes, he was able to shut off his brain for 8 hours a day and do this job, but I think also it is just to be able to fend for himself and to be able to feed himself, because he wasn't able to actually work. So there's a lot of talk about mental wellness and mental health and how we process and how we can continue on.
I just had an idea. I think I know why Dylan severed himself. I think it was infidelity.
Oh, that's a very good possibility.
Yeah, maybe that's so detached.
I think that's why he's so detached. And then when the wife met any Dylan,
that was
she's
the person he fell in love with.
Yeah. And there's no strings attached, no like, oh, this dude loves me.
Forgets.
Yeah. Oh man, I just thought about that. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, because she's already telling lies. That's a full-on affair, because she's already making up story. He's like, oh, I didn't get a chance to meet him this time. Like, you did, you know. So 100%. I love that. That's a great thought, bro.
Oh man, that's crazy.
All right, let's keep it going. Let's keep it moving. So we pretty much went on a tangent with Helly and all that, guys. So really quick, let me come back here. I'll go there. So let's move on to Mark's reintegration crisis. So he's reintegrated, right? So while we see Gemma's story unfold in the previous episode, Mark is unconscious, and he's going through his reintegration process, or a journey as they call it. He's reliving memories of his past, and then Devin and Dr. Ragabi is there on the outside world, and they're arguing over how to help him. Devin suggests that they call Harmony Cobell, and I think she also she references the birthing facility as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But that causes Ragabi to want to just run. So my question to you guys is, do you think Devin's decision to involve Cobell will initially help or harm Mark's chances of reuniting with Gemma?
I don't trust Harmony Cobell as far as I could throw her. I think she will lie and say that she's going to help, but it's all about what her end goals are. I think there's also a lot of kind of things being stated about corporate life, and Mr. Milchek is obviously, he's the epitome of wanting to climb the corporate ladder, and her Cobell she already had that position of authority, and once you get it, it's hard to not be a leader any longer, and so she wants that back, and I think she'll say and do whatever she has to get back in there. I don't know how she gets back down to the severed floor without everybody.
Where is she?
Being aware. Yeah, last time we saw her, she was driving away in the car after that very intense scene with them outside of the building, which that was like right out of a mob scene.
She was afraid.
He knew she was going in to get popped.
Yeah.
Come on inside. Let's have a meeting.
Yeah. It's gonna be safe. Don't worry about all the plastic we laid out on the floor. Don't worry about that.
We got sandwiches.
Come on in.
Yeah, you're about to be a made man.
Yeah. We got a watermelon shaped as your head. Yeah. Big bro. Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shane.
I don't know that. I mean, my personal feeling, I don't know that she would push the phone, because she wants to save her brother, and I think getting her back in to help her brother is more important than once she realized she was leaving, she'll probably go out and try and find her again. But to your point, when you said he's fully integrated, I don't know that he's fully integrated yet. I think that there's still some work to be done. And I think that full integration probably won't happen until the end of the season. We've got, like you said, maybe 2 more episodes. At the end, I think there's going to be that transition that happens, and he'll be able to exist in both worlds. But that's really that'll be an interesting time for us to see, as an actor, him being able to do the same thing that other actress did, to be able to act like he's that Mark. And Helly will be able to tell that he's not immediately, because she's way more attuned to that, I think, than Mark was.
For sure.
So that'll be interesting. And then she'll go, "Are you outie, Mark?" And that might be how we end this season. Anyway, go ahead.
I will describe this in restaurant terms, right? So Milchek would be like the shift lead, right? Like he's the one that he thinks he's the boss. He doesn't really make the schedules or anything like that, but he's enforcing the rules. Get off your phone, all that type of stuff, right? And then we have Miss Cobell, who's like the general manager.
Right.
Now, she's the soldier. She's the one that she's full locked in. She's read the pamphlet. She got her shrine. She loves this company, just like a general manager.
Well, she was born into this.
Yeah,
she was born into this.
Yeah, she knows the model. Like, she's with it. You know what I mean? Like, she's in there. And then you have the dude in the background, right? The regional manager. Now he pops in time and time again. And is like, all right. Straighten this out. Like, what are you doing? I know you're a good soldier, good little soldier, but straighten this out. You know what I mean? And then she's dealing with the shift lead who thinks he has too much power, and it's like, you can't write people up, man. That's my job. Let me do my job. But now, Milkshake got the GM role. He's like, oh yeah, but no, heavy is the crown, because now he has Miss Wong, who's like, she's dry snitching on him.
Using too many big words.
Who is this, right? Who is this person, if you really think about it, right? The only thing we know about her is she was a crossing guard in her former life, right? And she's trying to she's trying to go to school.
Yeah, she's trying to go to a school.
She's an intern.
But why is she a kid in here, right? And she knows about the Severed. She treats them as if they're not real people as well. So, and she's nefarious just as bad too.
See, I think now this is where you start getting into like the whole cloning kind of thing,
right?
Like this is where I think the goats and stuff come back into play,
right?
Dealing with this, because the goat people were wild. That was a wild episode.
Let us see your bellies.
Yeah. He wanted to see that pouch. He was like, I know you got pouches. I know you do.
But that makes sense then. So why would they have a pouch unless maybe clones have these certain distinguishability from a regular person? And maybe that's why they want to see the belly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That's what. Yeah, there was a breakdown that kind of pointed towards that too, and that's why they were checking. And I think also the goats have like a part to play in like animal testing, where they they use mice to to as a test subject because I think there's like robots or clones out there in other rooms or other levels, and the goat they just happen to come upon this random room full of goats, and their main purpose is to test and make clones and see which one survives.
Well, you bring up a good point, because we haven't talked about the episode where they're in on their outside excursion, and there was clone versions of each one of them, sort of weird versions pointing. Yeah, exactly. There you go, bro.
Yeah. Got it. And this makes sense with the speculation of the resurrection of Kier, because how else would they resurrect him other than cloning him, per se, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So very interesting. D, while you're on the subject right here, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked him. How does the episode, or I'm sorry, where I lost myself here. Okay, yeah. So do you think that Mark's sister's decision to involve Harmony Cobell will help or harm Mark's chances reuniting with Gemma?
I think, yeah, like Harmony, I think it's all for herself, and she makes you think that she's trying to help you and be your nice neighborly person, which we found out she really is not. She just comes and checks on you, pretending to be a good neighbor, and really, she's like has this other double life. Um, I don't think that the sister would actually push the button, because when you threaten someone to make a phone call, you would just do it right away, not keep talking about it and say, "Oh, I'm gonna call her. Yeah, I'm gonna call her for backup," kind of thing. Da, da, da. Like you would just do it, right? Um, so in this case, no. If she did call for Harmony's help, I don't think Harmony would really be a big help in with Mark. She may use him like she's been using a lot of people to maybe get back into Lumen, and I don't know. I feel like she has another like secret plan to try and get back into Lumen, and she's gonna use whoever she can, and play on her kindness to trick them into helping her for her own purpose. So if she does help, okay, to answer, if she does help, it'll be really to help herself, I think.
Oh, okay, I have another crazy theory I just thought about, right?
Hmm.
So, what if it's Harmony's kid or somebody that's the other test subject, and that's why she's so desperate to get back on the severed floor?
Oh, like she's in the other room across
Yeah,
Gemma.
yeah. Because
Wow.
not her, but somebody else. Because like she keeps staring at this like breathing tube, right? And like it seems like she's lost somebody, but
Yeah.
Mm.
It's true.
maybe she didn't lose somebody, and there's something else down there. But she agreed to just only look at Mark, even though she might have stakes in the other person. I don't know. I like there's like
That's good
because
spec.
why
Yeah.
is she so like wanting to be there? Is it because she's related to Mark maybe, and like that's another severed part of Mark? Maybe that's the mom. I don't know. There's so many things
Mm.
in this show. I
No, no,
can't
no.
wait.
That's some good spec. Let's keep going, guys. We got two more talking points here. How you guys doing on time? We're about an hour. I got two more talking points, and then let's speculate about the season finale. And I think we'll have our final closing thoughts after that.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, guys. So, Gemma's escaped attempt. So Gemma's defiance peaks when she attacks Mauer and tries to flee, only to end up on the severed floor as Miss Casey as soon as she comes out of the elevator. And that was really sad when I saw her go through
Yes.
that hallway. It's like,
Yeah.
Heartbreaking, man.
Mhm.
it's there's like, how long has it been? Can I stay? And he's just like, no, go back down the hallway, right? But anyways, let's keep going. So Miss Casey, so Milchek sends her back down. Her determination kind of contrasts with her apparent powerlessness, highlights her as both a prisoner and also a fighter. So the question is, what does Gemma's failed escape say about her agency? And do you think she'll get another chance to break free?
Mm.
I hope she does.
I hope so.
I think that's what ultimately our heroes are gonna. I think that's their mission. Maybe they end this season with that resolve. Like, okay, we really got to save her to get her out of there. But she's definitely a prisoner. She's
Mhm.
definitely
Yeah.
she wants to get out, and it could be a multitude of reasons. She's realizing that maybe this wasn't a great idea, like like
Yeah.
maybe she really was kidnapped this entire time, and then especially kind of being tortured in a sense that there is a personality of Gemma that wants Mark back there,
Mhm.
and that one was told, "Oh no, he's already moved on and got a family and all that stuff." And I, you talk to any married woman and you tell them that their husband's out there living another life, she wants to get
Hell
back.
no.
What are
Hell
you
no.
talking about? What are you talking about? Who the
There
hell
it
is
is,
this?
ladies and gentlemen.
What's her name and where does she live?
And she'll fight both of them. I'll fight inside and outside Helly. Give me
Who needs a slap? Shane?
Well, I mean, first of all, it was just so heartbreaking because it comes back to what I had said earlier, that in a lot of ways the innies are very childlike, and I think that's by design. I think that employers want people who don't question docile, don't question authority, just get back to work. Here's a little finger puppet thing to make you happy, and now's your little, your little here's a fruit cup, now get back to work and keep doing what we told you to do. And so it was heartbreaking to see that. And then when she gets back on the elevator, she knows there's no way to escape. So I keep coming back to this idea that it's going to have to be our team that finds a way to rescue her. And I feel like, unfortunately, I think Dylan might end up being a bit of a problem when that all comes to play, because his own personal desires, which he's already sort of made clear that he values this new relationship far more than, like, he doesn't really care about this whole little plan that they've got going and maps and all that. That doesn't mean, that's not doing it for him. His new relationship is what's doing it for him. And I think there's going to be a pull between that. Dylan's wife is going to want that version of Dylan on the outside. So she's going to want that version out. Mark's going to want Gemma out. So there's going to be there's going to be a breakdown of the system. So I don't know how it's all going to happen, but I'm excited to watch it. And I think it's going to be fantastic television. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Wow, you just made me think about that. Like, Dylan was kind of like the hero of the end of season 1, and now he's going to become the villain at the end of season 2. Like, just because he wants that relationship. He's like, look, this was a guy that was happy with the finger tricks, the little parties and stuff like that, and now you're giving him a chance to be in love.
Oh, and then he's like, screw your finger puppets. Give me this.
It's being reciprocated.
Yeah.
It's not just him solo. She's falling in love too.
Yeah,
and
she wants it too.
Love will make you do dumb shit. I'll tell you. I'll tell you
dumb shit.
I don't care. Oh, I gotta do what? All right, cool. Bet. I love this girl. especially for a guy that is severed and never experienced it before, right? That's always thought about it, and then, like, as a big guy, sometimes you feel like you're undesirable, and then, like, the whole time he was like, you like me? You
right?
You love
yeah,
me?
like he couldn't believe it. Yeah.
I mean, this is Dr. Bear's wet dream.
Oh yeah. 100%.
So man, Shane, you just made me. Yeah, Dylan could be the villain, dude. No, that's my guy.
I'm telling you, he's a double agent.
Yeah.
All right, explain your double agent theory, because I want you to go deeper on that, man.
So we don't know a lot about Audi Dylan. We really don't know what he does. We know that he handles his kids, supposedly. We know he's had, like, a string of bad luck at jobs. We've seen him try to get a job when he lost his job, but we really don't know what's going on with him. So, and I'm just playing it on the tropes of what usually happens in a TV series is they pick the most unlikely character to be the villain. So in a sense, we have no idea what's going on with him right now. I feel like we're going to find out more about him in season 3 in flashbacks. And I really feel like he already has a sense of what's going on over there already with Lumen. He's made this arrangement, right, for his wife to go see his innie. Why? Why would you do that? I mean, maybe because, you had that infidelity. You know what I mean? Because you described that he had that infidelity, unless you know more about that than me.
Well, I would say he doesn't. The reason why he would allow it is he doesn't see it as a threat because it's him essentially, and he can't hold a job, so he can't afford to lose this job.
That's
They've
what
got
we're
a
being
lot of
told.
kids
Though.
to take
That's
care
what we're
of.
being told.
Right.
Right.
That's true, but that would be the reason I think that Severance said, "Hey, look, we need this to happen, or else we're going to have to let you go." And he already dealt with the trauma of that going through those job interviews, and he couldn't get a job. I
True.
love that job interview where he's sitting opposite sides of the same person, essentially, with the divide in the middle, and it's like, "Oh, you severed yourself? No, I don't want anything to do with you." So there's this bias, against people on the outside world that have done that to themselves. Yeah, which also opens up a lot of interesting philosophical discussions about, how you deal with trauma and then the stigma that you deal with in the outside world.
So I understand we've seen those flashbacks, and like I said again, I've mentioned that we've seen him with his kids, we've seen him at that job, we've seen him outside in the cul-de-sac with Milchek, but we don't know anything about him. We
That's
still
true.
don't know anything about Irving either, right? And Irving would be the most likely suspect to be a double agent, I would think. Don't even get me started on Burke. I really feel like Burke knows more than meets the eye, but we'll.
Oh, hell yeah, he does.
That's probably for later. I mean, Christopher Walken as the creepy dude, like, come
Yeah.
on, you know what I mean? Not to mention don't even get me started about that dinner. But I just feel that there's going to be a character that's going to come out that we would never think that would do this. And I think Dylan is the perfect person for that because of what's going on with him. And I think there's more than meets the eye with the wife going there, not just because he needs this job. That's just my speculation nation on this thing. And I hope I'm right.
Yeah, I think that wife just wants she wants that second chance.
I think so too. And I think if the outside Dylan tried to do something, the outside wife is going to go, "I'd rather have this guy."
True.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
What happens? You see him right there with with the big fat dude. And anyways, yeah. That's how I feel. What about you, D?
That's an interesting point, Hinano, because we don't know too much about him. He is a very curious person for me. Just his little quirks and stuff in the office with his team members, and then just kind of being what's the word, complacent, and he doesn't want to help them really like escape kind of thing, because he's comfortable, like he likes his life. I mean, he gets snacks, he gets a little dance music party going, he gets to work on whatever he's working on the computer, and that's all he knows. It's like easy. He doesn't have to deal with watching his how many, like 3 kids, 3 kids he has. Yeah, it's interesting when they panel it to his outie, and he's just kind of like, it's really sad. Like, he's just hanging out at home with his kids, like a couch potato. He just eats, and it's like a sad life kind of thing.
I relate to it so much because that was me during COVID. That was literally me during COVID.
That was a lot of people.
My bar shut down in March, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna have so much time to do stuff." And then when it happened, I was like, "Oh no, this sucks. I need a purpose. This is trash." This is like, I thought I was gonna be like happy, like on vacation. I'm playing video games all day and stuff like that. Like, nah, this is not cool, dude. Like, you know what I mean? So Irving too, man. Like Irving's story, like it's so much in there that we don't know at all.
He's a mystery.
Like that, like I want to see. Like there's something about Irving. Like he is like a detective. Like he knows stuff. Like when he sniffed that out fast, he was like a night gardener. No.
Do you feel like he's not telling everything? We don't really. I mean, he's another one. Like, but I feel like he knows more than he's leading on when we see his outie.
I don't think so. I don't think
No?
that's him. That's
You don't
not
think that's
him.
him at all?
I think that's another severed person
Oh,
that they
okay.
have. I think the
Oh.
real him is somewhere else because, like I said, I think the other him like knows what's up, and I think that's why Bert is on him. Like, yo, if he realizes who he is, this could be a problem. You know what I mean? Like, I think like he has that kind of marching orders on him.
Well,
Like,
it's interesting you say that because we do know that he has military background, so that would make sense
Mhm.
that he would just want to not remember anything that happened during his time in the military, and just
Yeah.
completely erase it. But I want to go back to what you said, Dee, about Dylan. I think there's some interesting kind of discussions and thoughts about work and this idea that Dylan on the outside never found what his calling was, and he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. Essentially, he never found out what he's excellent at, and inside Dylan feels like he's excellent at this job.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, you end up doing a job, and if you get little kudos, right, even those tiny little perks, then you start and think, oh, I'm good at this, I'll just do this, even though he never had the opportunity to discover what he really is good at. And I think there's some interesting thoughts on that once again, this work-life balance and what we do for work and what provides us joy. There's a lot of thought for me about that, because I think it's easy to fall into that trap of just doing this thing that you know and that you might be good at, but is it really what you were supposed to do?
yeah. And that's another thing, right? Like with his wife, like seeing her husband with confidence again, like
Yeah.
knowing like he has a good, like he's doing good and all that stuff. That brings another side, and then for her to come back home and just see the dude that's on the couch with the kids. You know what I mean? Like
He's a double agent.
No.
So kind of what like she wants from him
He's
is what
perfect
he
for
is
it.
as an innie.
Yeah.
I want to go back to like what you said about you don't think Irving who he is. I mean, in reality, if that's the truth, then we don't know who is who. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Anybody could be anybody. And it goes farther than my speculation on this guy being a double agent. In reality, anyone can be a double agent and not even know because of the contingency thing, right?
Right.
So like they can enable that at any time and enable any personality at anyone in this town at any time that they want. So who knows? Like here's a good example, right? We really don't know how much time has passed from season 1 to 2. Yep. We're told how much time has passed. For us in the real world, it's like what, 4 years or whatever, whenever the last time they had it.
Yeah.
Well, for D and I, it was only like 6 months because we only caught up like 6 months ago.
Right.
So yeah, that was good. But anyways, we don't know what's going on here. For all we know, this town is a testing ground in itself, and everyone can flip a script and be anyone or anything, and we just don't know it because we've never seen it yet.
That's a good point.
So yeah, I think this town, like everyone in that town, is severed multiple times, and they don't know it. And like, for example, like when Harmony was driving away, before she turned around, like where was she driving to? Like somewhere.
She went to some place. It had a name. I don't remember.
Far.
Yeah.
So like I think there's maybe their real original selves out somewhere else, and they're all watching this happen in this secluded Lumen Industries.
Are you describing like a Truman Show type of scenario where they're all clones and we're watching it from the outside? For all we know, Severance is actually a real thing that we're seeing from the outside. Is that what you're?
Yeah, kind of like that. I think everyone there is severed. However many times and however many clones they have is.
Oh my god! What if the original people are the Watchers, dude? Like, oh my god!
Well, that's the product, right? You get to watch the product being used at its time. This town is an entire product,
and they would know the personalities because it's them. You know what I mean? Like they would just sit there and watch
maybe
themselves.
They could choose on a computer, right?
Go through all these.
We're way down the rabbit hole.
We are. We're gone,
yeah,
dude.
The original people are I guess like Dr. Drummond, the people who are watching, because everyone else that they're watching looks similar to them.
Dr. Maurer.
No, the other guy.
Drummond is the big employee guy. He's like what, a superintendent or an overseer or something?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
He's a district manager.
District manager.
District
That's
manager.
Well, I think there's some also some interesting psychological play in just the discussion about, like you said, all these different personalities that are severed, and with Gemma going into these different rooms and each one of them being a different personality. If you think about it, not only do they do that on a psychological level in your mind, but they show that visually in the different faces that people put on themselves for the real people, like Harmony Cobell playing two different people on the outside world, playing this friend to the sister and playing a friend to Mark, and being a different person. She's putting on a face. And the same thing applies for Milchek, even internally, when he turns on his happy face when he's doing these parties, and then that instantly turns off when Dylan attacked him. You put on these faces for who you think people want to see and what people expect from you. I think there's some interesting thoughts going on there as well, besides being able to turn it off internally and what we do in our normal lives. Because we all put on faces when we're in different scenarios and situations.
That was the most beautiful thing of just like petty drama that happened when Miss Wong just ratted out on him.
Yes.
And he was just like, you know what? And then he had the talk with her and he still used the big words. And then he was like, I can't say this big words. How do I dumb it down to fit the corporate standard?
The camera coming over his shoulder as he's talking into the mirror and telling himself, grow.
Yeah.
Grow, was like, oh, damn. That dude, he wants to climb that ladder.
Hard. That's the guy. That's the guy who's like, I'll do whatever it takes, boss.
Yes, boss.
What an overachiever.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. His performance review was just like, oh my God.
You didn't staple it the right way.
Yeah.
The paper clips.
Oh my gosh.
Picture of him as a representation of Kier, but blackface.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that was wild.
And then trying his conversation with that woman and saying, do you have trying to get out of her? And that's like in a corporate environment when you're like, can I talk to you about a personal thing? And then waiting to see their reaction. Can I share a real moment with you? And knowing, no, I can't show a real moment with you because I can't trust you. And that actress too is amazing.
Creepy.
Oh my gosh. The looks that she gives and the way that she communicates with her eyes is amazing. Yeah, she is fantastic.
Let's just talk about that actress because I feel like she's constantly monitored. So no matter what you tell her, she always has to put on that pretty face. I feel like she's shackled. She's shackled. She's like a dog or something like that. And she's like, that's it, right? And she's tied to the board. Like, she's got like probably the worst job out of everybody because she is the emissary, right?
I think she has being severed above her head, and she's like, nope, don't want to do that. I'll do whatever you. And that was. I'm glad you brought that up because that's perfect. Of how like there's always somebody else that's just way more into the company than you are, buddy. There's nothing you can do about it because like. I don't know. As a person of color, I understand those conversations where you just be like, "Hey, am I tripping? Like, did he just? No, you not okay? Never mind. No, we're cool. I'm my bad. But that definitely was that conversation. He looked at her like, they gave you the same thing, like.
Right,
face, dude. Like,
and it looked like she wanted to say something. She wanted.
She almost did.
Wanted to. Yeah.
Because it's like we're both, but like,
right.
Yeah, man. There's so many little
It
things
was
on the show. It's so good.
it was all she was almost on the verge of doing one of these. No, don't talk
Yeah,
about it.
yeah,
Don't talk
yeah.
about it. Stop
no,
talking.
Can't.
no. We love this. We love this. We love this.
Yes, just smile and say how much we
Just smile.
appreciate our jobs.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Terrible.
Last talking point, and then we'll get to final speculations, and then we're out of here. So
All right.
basically, Lumen's reach into everyday life, like Google. The episode subtly shows Lumen's influence beyond the office, logos on blood drive equipment, ties to the fertility clinic, and suggesting that they've been watching Gemma and Mark for years. If you notice, the doctor looks at Gemma right away in the flashback. This raises questions about how they targeted and staged Gemma's death. So the question is, how do you think Lumen identified Gemma as a candidate for the experiment? And what does this imply about their control over the town?
Honestly, I think that this all has to do with just creepy, cultish purity. Like they found Gemma, and somehow she's like a pure vessel for the guy. Like, and what they're trying to do is train the vessel to deal with all of Kier's because remember, Kier is the guy who he fought the 4 temptations, right? Like he's pure. He can do he's not hold on by human values or all that kind of stuff, right?
Evelyn?
Yeah, but yeah, he's benevolent. Like this is the father Kier. You know what I mean? Like they have him on like the 90s computer video game ending, like him flying off.
Or they put the mask on and you can like pretend to be him while you watch crazy stuff.
Yeah, pretend to be him and fight
the
the
house?
temptations. Yeah, let you get to sit on the bed. Kier, you know what I mean? Like, I think that they're just on some really like cultist stuff. I think you guys are right. I think they're trying to bring this bad guy. They're trying to bring him back somehow. And by Homeboy saying that Jim is going to be sired, I mean that's how these people talk. Like you're not a human. You're just a thing. We're going to just deal with. Once he sired her, then we're going to get rid of your little girl. And you can see the daughter like, damn.
Yeah,
we can keep her a little longer. You know what I mean? He might be the reason why the Cold Harbor experiment is keep prolonging, because he's like, I don't want to lose my girl. Like I gotta try these other outfits. Like I got this Michael Jackson one. She gonna
He's
love.
got many in the closet. Anyway.
Oh, man. Okay, I'm sorry. Who didn't speak? Who was it? You that spoke last week, bro? You guys lost me, man. That's hard. Shane, go ahead, Shane.
Well, I think that they're making an allegory to these large corporations that get so big that they are their fingers are in every aspect of our lives, like Google and Amazon and these companies that get too large. So my feeling is that Lumen, I get the sense that the company has probably been around for 100 years. I mean, they allude to the fact that there's from the paintings alone that there's some sort of Civil War element to this character. And, they look at him in the same way that, like North Korean, dictator kind of, that the stories of, he only played golf once and, shot a perfect game or whatever, they have these idealistic versions in their heads of who this person was, and that's their driving motive to want to bring them back. But yes, I think that Lumen has just been part of it the entire time. Now, as far as why they chose Gemma, I think that it had I think they tell us that right off the bat with the blood draw, that she, like Bro had said, that you know, they're checking her blood for any imperfections. You know, you can easily check and see, like, do they have a propensity for potentially having cancer in their later life or any of these kind of things.
She checked all the boxes.
She checked all the boxes, and my gut tells me that, as horrible as it is, I think they probably had her have the miscarriage. You know, because they don't look at any of, even the innies or the outies, they don't look at them as anything. They're just things for them to work with and to toy around with, and because it's all part of their master plan. So yeah, to answer your question, I think that Lumen has just been involved in this from the very get-go. They have their goals, and you know, these other humans are just tools to help them achieve their goals.
I'm with you on the same one. D.
Yep. I agree. From what Shane was saying, how they showed in season 1 and some of season 2, all the pictures on the wall, how they talk about the history of the company and the beliefs behind Egan. And oh man, I just had a brain fart.
I hate when those happen.
Oh man, yeah, I think it's been around for so many years, maybe even like decades, a century, however long, and they've just been looking all this time for the perfect candidate, and so they use this clinic as one of their recruiting grounds, and so they keep looking and looking, and just by chance, however many years and decades later, this couple goes into the clinic. And after they draw her blood, you get all her testing and stuff, they find out, yes, she is the one we're looking for. So let's take her and use her in all these different rooms to test her limits until it's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, look, dude, like, if you talk about pizza right now, the Google will suggest pizza restaurants. You know, no pineapple. All right.
Nope.
Just because you put pineapple on something doesn't make it Hawaiian. Standard. But I mean, like, so what's to say, like, if you have a miscarriage, Google ain't gonna know you had a miscarriage, or Google's not gonna know that all these things you're talking about on your phone. Like, Google knows now. So it can suggest all these different things, and look, how fast are people willing to do it? I'm telling you right now, if you give people the option to chip up, they will chip up. You give people the option to chip their kids, there's even more chips. Right?
I want to expand on that, because especially it gives them the ability to forget their pain. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to go through pain, and the majority of the world goes through pain. I mean, pain is necessary. You grow from that, right? But like a lot of people, they dive into alcoholism or drugs. You know what I mean? So I look at these chips as a way to like bypass that. But let's go back to the question at hand, right? So essentially, what does this imply about them controlling, or their control over the town? I think the town is just phase 1 of world domination, like Google, like Apple. They want to be in our lives. They want our data. We talked about this, right? They want to know our personality. You're talking about this right now. When we go on Google and we type something out, like a shampoo, we get like shampoo ads. With these chips that they're testing with the Severed, which are basically lab rats, you know, imagine the world population being controlled or being suggested certain things because of these chips, right? So if we're really looking at real world, they're doing that now with our phones. We're being suggested all these things. There's device obsolescence on this. We are the product, right? Just like the Severed people are the product. And so in essence, I feel like with the cult of Kier, they're bringing back Kier. I'm not going to say that's like Steve Jobs, right? But they're bringing back Kier, and they want to also have control. They control the town, right? In a sense, you really feel like that. I feel like that's what they want to do outside that. We've already established there's different districts of Lumen all around the world. It's a global company. So that's my speculation on that and what they're trying to do. Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah.
Just a real quick point. Here we are talking about the phones listening to us, and we all know that happens because you see the ads as soon as you're talking about something. Real quick, in that room, they have the people watching through the screens
Yes.
as the macro data refiners. Those are the phones listening to us.
Those are the phones.
Those are the screens. I mean, I think that's the parallel that they're drawing right there, that they're watching and they know everything that you're doing.
Let's
This
go.
show is based on us now. We are so severed, we don't even know.
There you go, D.
It's just
Got it, D. That's it.
Mhm. And we all, dude, I play like that all the time. I tell my wife all the time, like, when you ask me about work, I don't really like. I turn it off. Like that's any Brandon.
Yeah.
Like he's dealing with I turn
That is
off.
so true.
And like I tell like that's the same thing that I had a problem in school because I didn't do homework because I felt as soon as I'm home, I'm done with y'all. You guys are here. I get to play video games and stuff like that. I'll do homework at school. Like I had an after school program. I do a little homework there, but when I'm at home, I'm done. I'm not thinking about you guys anymore. So like we're definitely easily severed. Like I'm already there.
Yep, we do it ourselves.
All right. So that was episode 7, you guys. That was a really good breakdown. I really enjoyed this, guys. Are we thinking of at least trying to do this until the season finale? Are you guys willing to come back and talk about this again if our time permits?
Absolutely. I'm happy to do it. Yeah.
All right, I
let's-
love the show.
So just so you guys know, I can't do next Monday because we're going to do a trivia night for McFarland.
That's
quick-
cool.
Quick plug for trivia night.
That's okay, though, like,
Wonderful.
this show can float, right? Because this
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
really in our overarching schedule, even though everyone says that we're an industry over here now.
You are.
We'll work on this
100%.
time. We're not an industry. No. We're just a bunch of regular people. We're talking heads. But back to the show.
The
We'll
dream is
find
over.
another day where we come back, and we're going to talk about this. But let's talk about the series finale that's coming up, guys, and what we think is going to happen with the Speculation Nation on that.
So it's not the finale then, right? Like I thought I got this confused with Paradise because I know Paradise is like, there's one more and it's only 8 episodes, but we got 10 here. I'm re happy again. I'm happy because I thought we was going to get that 37-minute episode and it was going to be over and I was going to be bad.
No. We got more to come. So
Heck yeah.
I got the AI to kind of compile everything that's happened between episodes 1 through 7, and it spit out questions of speculation for us.
Oh,
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Let's go AI.
So basically,
AI.
right, according to
today.
AI, because of all of the speculation between 1 through 7, this is the questions it's come out with. So speculation number 1, Mark's integration unlocks the truth. So here's a speculation in this. Mark's reintegration teased since episode 3 and intensified by our previous episode in 7, reliving memories of Gemma will fully emerge in his innie and outie by the finale, giving him the clarity to expose Lumen's secrets about Severance and Gemma's face. So the basis on this is episode 7 shows Mark nearing a psychological breakthrough, suggesting his mind is ready to bridge the severed gap. So the question I have for you guys, will Mark's reintegration come at the cost of his sanity, or will it empower him to take down Lumen and rescue Gemma?
Oof.
well, I mean, I don't. There's no possible way they're going to take down Lumen. But I think that there is a possibility for him to rescue Gemma. I think just like these giant corporations that get far too large, in my opinion, like Amazon owning, newspapers and controlling the media. I think that newspaper that even the newspaper that Milchick shows him is heavily redacted. That newspaper is owned by Lumen. So all the media is controlled. There's no way that they're going to take down Lumen, but they may be able to get them out and rescue them and then take off down that road that Cobell was trying to drive away from.
Interesting.
Man.
Bro?
You're gonna have to repeat that question. I keep getting lost in my thoughts.
That's okay. So the question is, will Mark's reintegration come at the cost? Because he's basically going through reintegration. He went through his journey previously in episode 6. So will his reintegration come at a cost of his sanity? Will he go cuckoo? Or will it empower him to actually take down Lumen and to rescue Gemma?
I think it's whoever comes out dominant Mark, man.
Oh,
I think if it's
that's a nice one.
outside Mark, he loses his mind. I think if it's inside Mark, he fights. Like I think it just all depends. You know, it's yeah, it's super interesting. Oh man.
But with inside Mark having an affair with two Hellies now, right? Two
Mhm.
Hellies. Will he be motivated enough to save Gemma? Because in reality, he knows that Gemma is his Audie's wife. But in reality, he doesn't have any of the feelings for her, right? Other than he just remembers her as Miss what was her name again? I forget her name already. As a therapist, right?
Yeah.
Miss Casey, yeah.
Casey, yeah.
Yeah. So like if any Mark will be more powerful than Audi Mark, will he be really motivated to actually rescue her? Maybe take down the company, but maybe not rescue her.
I think the reason why I say that is the same way like any Helly is, right? Like I think they're like, remember when you're like a teenager and you really feel passionate about stuff and you're like radicalized, like rah 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 rah, we can take it down. You know what I mean? Like I think that's what those two in particular bring out in each other, right? I think that's why their passion, like when you're working together on something like that, I think that's where passion comes into play and why they started having feelings for each other. But at the same time, it does seem that any Mark does have a compass, a bigger compass on doing what's right. Like even though I think he's not fully himself. He loves Helly. Like any Mark is really in tune with his feelings, but I think that's a thing that he will have to wrestle with. Do I do this to save just because it's a person that I care about, or do I save this is because it's the wife I care about? You know what I mean? And that's where it becomes like, what do you choose? Do you choose because like it's not an easy decision because you're dealing with four different scenarios, right? Like you're dealing with like any Helly, or do you love any Helly or Audi Helly? Like they're not going to be reintegrated. You know what I mean? So like if you're in love with any Helly, like Audi Helly doesn't care what the hell what you're going to do. You know what I mean?
And she has feelings for any Mark.
No, she wanted to use any Mark like that was a use because you have to remember like people that get pinned down like that and has to live this super duper structured life. That was her like vacation of her just being like, I get to be somebody who doesn't have all these titles, all this prestige,
Right.
all this stuff. I just want to do it to do it, and because any Helly, I don't believe is a person. I don't believe she matters at all. I can make this. It's like a make believe land in her. Like that. Now she's in the Matrix. You know what I mean? Like,
here's the point. Here's the point. So like we found out Audi Helly did mention that she's never brought anyone home to her dad because there was nobody that was good enough, right? So that entails she's never had a love interest.
Right.
And so she's been down in the innie floor for quite some time, and you bet your butt she's watching all the tapes. So she has probably seen every interaction of herself down there with Mark. So you can't really tell me that she hasn't expressed feelings yet. We haven't seen it yet, right? You're right. A lot of what you said right there, 100%. You know, she wanted the gusto on that, but she hasn't had anyone in her life. Look, she went and sought out Mark at that sushi place, right? Probably for two things: to scout, but maybe there's more than meets the eye with that, right? If she can't get to any, because any Mark is really Helly's Mark, right? But then you got the Audi Mark who's just really down, desperate, right? So that's where my speculation is going with that is she's never brought anyone home. She's lived a very sheltered life. She's part of the cult of Kier. She has nobody. But she's been with this one dude, you know what I mean, throughout the whole time, and she's watched every interaction. That's where I'm getting at.
That's what I'm saying. I think you're right, but I think she's using it as a free pass. Like, you know what I mean? Like this, they're not going to get mad at me for this. Like nobody can say anything because I'm pretending to be this person to get the ball rolling, and I don't. She doesn't trust any Helly. Any Helly is not to be trusted by the corporate because she's already tried to ruin it. You know what I mean?
She tried to choke herself.
Yeah, all that. Yes, sir.
All right. So my feeling is that Audi Helly looked at any Heli as the problem. I think that her impetus for wanting to have sex with him wasn't so much about him as it was about punishing her, because her entire life she's been held down, and this is another person taking something that she couldn't have, and she was punishing any Heli. That's what I think. And then
because any Heli knows about Audi Heli now too. You're right.
Yeah. And so but after it happened, then she got feelings. And that's when she reached out to Audi Mark. And that exchange of dialogue with them at the diner was brilliant.
Oh, that was a heat check.
Oh man,
she did a heat check. She was like, look, hey, what's up?
Yeah. You already bringing me home to dad? Damn.
D, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with you guys on, like, with Helena, once she got a taste of what her innie, felt or went through, kind of thing, she maybe liked it, and maybe too much, so where she did go out when she came back to the Audi world to go and search for that, to have some sense of that feeling that she had when she was in the innie world. Yeah, people are just looking for love, looking for acceptance, looking for companionship,
looking for a good time.
Looking for a good time. If it's a one-time thing.
We're here for a short time, a long time, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. YOLO.
YOLO.
Isn't that what Arcade always says?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
okay,
what was the question?
No, it's okay. So we got 5 breakdowns. That was the first one. Basically, the first breakdown the AI spit out was Mark's reintegration unlocks the truth. We kind of answered the question. So let's move on to the second breakdown that the AI gave us for what it thinks the speculation might be. Gemma breaks free from Lumen itself. So the speculation is Gemma revealed in episode 7 as a severed test subject trapped in Cold Harbor experiments will escape with Mark's help, forcing a confrontation with Dr. Maurer and the company's leadership. So the basis on this is her plea to go home and the lie about Mark remarrying hint at her resistance growing stronger and the testing floor. So the question I have for you guys, can Gemma overcome her fragmented state to reclaim her life, or is she too broken by Lumen's experiments to escape the severed floor?
That's an interesting one. The thing that you had mentioned earlier about Mark losing his mind, I don't see that happening. But now that you say that about Gemma, because she's so fractured in so many personalities, there is definitely a greater chance of her not being able to recover and become a full person again. I think there's definitely something to that. The AI might be onto something.
Shout out to Grok.
Shout out to the AI. Yeah, that's interesting. I could see there being some very deep thoughts as far as you've essentially got 4 different people coming to, 6, right? Because you've got 2 Helis, 2 Marks, and 2 Gemmas. And how does that work when they escape? And what decisions are made if all of a sudden Gemma on the outside, when they rescue her, dissolves into a mixed thing that can't be brought back together. Does he have the ability to let her go, essentially, to have this relationship with Hell? I mean, there's a lot of really deep philosophical discussions to be had about those kind of conversations. And in the end, he already had to let his wife go once by going to the car crash. Does he have to let her go again once he rescues her? I mean, that is like, he's going to be destroyed emotionally. I mean, you've done it twice.
And he's been in denial, right? Like, so when the cops come, he did not want to go to the door. And even then, he's still in denial till this day, right? When he still hasn't dealt with it. Well, because it outed or his innie yelled, she's alive, and in the first episode, he was denying all that, like no, because he doesn't want to believe that, right? Because it's so hard to go through that again. It's crazy.
Woo, AI is cooking. Let's go.
All right. So, bro, same question to you. Do you think Gemma can overcome her fragmented state, her cuckoo-ness, or is she too broken from Lumen's experiments?
As much as I wish she could, I think the writing's on the wall for her. It's just too much. I think by showing us the reintegration process where Mark with only dealing with 2 of the personalities, somebody like Gemma who, and the doctor really scrambled her because she's in the 60s, she's in the 70s, she's in the 80s, like she's in all these different things. So, I mean, you get her on the outside, and if she's stuck in Christmas writing mode, you know what I mean? Like, ugh. Like those rooms, like that is it. That has to be just sick, man. Just just going to the dentist and just thinking like I went to the dentist like 2 weeks ago, and like you do it and everything like that, but then like just imagine you leave the dentist office and then it's like you open the door right back and you're right back in the chair. Like,
and that's
like,
the point.
That's the thing. That trauma. That's the stuff that we don't want, doing the things we don't want to do, right? And those are the people who are doing the things we don't want to do, and are they people? Like,
have you ever watched a Clockwork Orange, bro? Okay, all right.
I heard
might want to add that one to your list.
Yeah.
There's a scene in particular where they have him in a room and then they prop his eyes open to anyway.
So I've seen that image. I've seen that image of what you're talking about, where the eyes are open and he's looking at something, like maybe he's getting brainwashed or something like that.
Yes, there's an aspect of that.
Yeah.
Okay. D, any thoughts on Gemma regaining herself, or is she gone for good?
She's totally badass, and going through all the shit that she did, and like multiple times that she did try to escape and unsuccessfully, unfortunately. Okay, on the side note, when they showed her going down the hall and then Milchick came, it was like, why the hell, like, she came all this way, why the hell didn't they make her like run and like punch him or something and like try to escape even further?
Because it's not her, that's Miss Casey.
That's she walked through that door. She turned into someone else.
That's why it hurts. That's why it hurts so bad. That's why it's just like, it's not her.
You feel that. You feel so bad for her right there, because in that and she's such a great actress too.
Yeah,
like,
she is.
Shows her emotional state right there. Like, but wait a minute, I just got here. I don't even know how long I've been gone.
Yep.
Can I at least get a water or something? Like, can I at least see the outside?
It's like, no, goodbye.
Go back down in your cage is all you said. Get back down there.
Yeah. Right? You got on the wrong floor. You're doing some other crap. No, bye, Miss Casey. Because she's pliable. Like that's the personality there. Like, it hurts, man.
Yeah, and they made her docile like that. So
it's like, but what if like all the times that she's had to do that, and you can see that she's fractured, she's eventually breaking, and like, what if that helps her in a way to, I don't know, like when she needs to, like she gets the flashbacks or flashes of her other self, which then helps her in that moment to like escape. This is wishful thinking, by the way.
No, you make a really good, compelling statement there, because like we're speculating, right, what may happen in the heat of the moment, either in the season finale or maybe in season 3. So if we already know that there's 6 personalities, 7 if you're 8 actually, right? Because you got the 6 rooms, you've got Gemma, and then you've got Miss Casey. So that's a ton, with 9 going with Cole Harbor, right? So essentially, those personalities, what's to say they can't spill onto each other because of all the emotional trauma and stress she's gone through, right? Which is a clear presentation of a multiple personality disorder that could manifest itself either in the season finale or in season 3.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm rooting for Gemma. I'm rooting for her.
Yeah, hopefully, Mark, like, like he, I don't know, maybe develops like some kind of virus and puts it on the computer and freezer, like, because, I think that's what the whole data refinement thing is. Like, is they're refining the microchips so they can work perfectly and like through every scenario. It's just, man, I'm with D. I want her to be free, but I'm just scared that I'm scared that it's in the story writing that they want Mark to be with Helly in the end.
They're gonna make us upset because that's
Yeah.
the thing, right?
Right.
They're gonna make us upset.
Those big corporations.
They want
Yeah.
that, right? Because in a sense, they want us to feel like this corporation's really just screwing us, even the audience, right? So it would make sense. I don't know. Let's go to the third one here, where the AI spits out for its third speculation on Cold Harbor's sinister purpose has finally been unveiled. So here's the speculation. The Cold Harbor project, tied to Mark's work and Gemma's testing, will be exposed as a chilling endgame, perhaps mass severance, consciousness duplication, or a dystopian control mechanism in the finale. So here's the basis. Episode 7's focus on Mark's 100% completion and the final test subject room builds to a major reveal. So here's my question to you guys. Is Cold Harbor the key to Lumen's future or a Pandora's box that destroys it all?
I think what... Ooh, yeah, because, dang, I thought I had the answer to the question, but then no, I don't.
Now, this is what the AI spit. I didn't come up with this question.
Because I think that it depends on how this plays out, right? I think if the company is able to completely, you can have a super duper traumatic event, and we're able to make it so that you can forget about it. Something as devastating as drowning, you know what I mean? Like over and over again. Like, cause that was and that's another thing. The lady asked her, like, what would you be more afraid of, suffocating or drowning? She said drowning. Cool. I don't know. I just really think that's like a drowning room. That's what she has to deal with over and over again. I think that if successful, they can make anybody do anything. They can just, like you said, like, the whole town. We can make you an army right then and there, and you would have no clue that we did it. You would wake up in your bed and you've been hijacked for a whole day. Oh, that's so creepy, bro.
But here's the thing, right? The AI literally specs that what you're saying. It's literally speculating. Could this be mass severancing everybody? Could be consciousness duplication, or is it some type of dystopian control mechanism, right? And that's what the question gets alluded to from.
Yeah, I think after that gets completed, the 96% gets completed, whoever the test subject is goes into the room, and that's where you see all their clones, what do you call it, in like a freeze state to be used for some purpose. I don't know yet, but that's what I'm thinking.
Shane?
I don't know.
Well, this one I don't think the AI got right. My theory about what Cold Harbor is it's the final room where she has to process death, and that's what his final hurdle for himself is. And that processing of death is going to be different for her than it will be for him. Her processing of death is the miscarriage. And I think, to your point, Biggest Bro, I think she'll have to process that miscarriage over and over again. And that could potentially just break her mentally. She will not be able to survive that mentally. But I think that is the final room, is being able to process death.
Yeah.
Before they cross over.
Oof.
Okay, so and you know, I get it. Like the AI is literally scouring the internet for all this, and that's
Sure.
why it alludes to, like, you know, some of these, because some of this is a little far fetched if you really think about it, right? But it alludes to, you know, conscious duplication, basically mind control is what it's alluding to, right? In a sense that kind of harkens to, like, you know, we're getting controlled every day off of these things, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, okay, D. Oh, and I think you already asked the question. I think you already answered it. So let's move
Yeah.
past this one. So yeah, we're thinking maybe the AI didn't get that one right. So here's the fourth speculation from the AI. Helly turns against the Egans. Speculation as to why. Helly, aka Helena Egan, will reject her family's legacy in the finale, using her insider status to aid Mark and the MDR team, potentially sacrificing her position to do so. I don't know why she would do that. But here's the basis as to why it alludes to that. Her complex dynamic with Mark post Kiss in episode 6 and her season 1 rebellion suggests a tipping point looms for her in this saga. So the question I have for you guys, will Helly's betrayal, if it's possible, of Lumen be genuine, or is she really playing two sides and a longer game for power of Lumen?
In my opinion, very seldomly do people of power relinquish power. Um,
Without a
I
fight.
yeah, I don't see. But I don't know. You're right. It could happen. It could happen. I don't see it. I think she's locked in, man. I think she's all in. I think if this is in terms of like wrestling, she's like Stephanie McMahon. She's in the family. She wants the business. She knows the business. She just wants people to take her seriously enough because she's a female. Like that's it. That's all it is. Like there's another great show that's on HBO, Succession. It has the same kind of premise
Oh
where
yeah, great show.
the daughter, like, you know what I mean, she should be it, but because she's a female and
Hmm.
the pressure of that makes her get in and makes her make stupid mistakes and stuff like that, and it's the pressure of being like the daughter and like the one, you know what I mean? It's like I just don't think that she's giving it up. Like children like that who really believe in the power, they want the mantle, they want to be the one that, like, you know, they want the I'm proud of you, like what she should have. It's funny because the any Helly got the I'm proud of you that the Audi Helly never got from her dad, and
Yeah.
that is hilarious. And who knows if even Audi Helly ever heard that part. All she heard was her dad say, like, she called it a nincompoop or something, something like rich people call you, like, you bamboozler or whatever the hell he said. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't see her. I don't see her turning. I maybe any Helly, but I definitely don't see Audi Helly going along with
I
it.
agree. Yeah, I agree. Shane?
Well, I have a different thought.
Let's go.
Okay. So I see Audi Helly as the rebel of the family. I think that she's more of an artist than the rest of the family is more corporate in nature. And I say that she's an artist because that display that was shown during the overtime contingency felt like an art gallery showing.
It's true. You're right.
She is an artist, and I feel like she is more in tune with her emotions and her because as an artist you need to be in tune with your emotions to be able to express yourself through art. And my feeling is that she is going to be willing to sacrifice her outer self and let her inner self be the one that takes over.
Wow.
That's how she'll sabotage Lumen, because she's been held under their thumb her entire life, and now she sees that Helly is the one who really that's the person she always wanted to be.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm in the same
Keep
boat
talking
as
to the
you.
AI.
Shane. I'm in the
Let's
same boat as
go.
you. I think she will do that just to get, you know, what she essentially is deserving of, um, and like the whole approval from her dad. I think. I mean, every child kind of wants to be like acknowledged by the parent, right? You're doing a great job. So I think there's gonna be a point where she's gonna basically say, fuck it, and just do that. I think so. I totally agree with Shane.
Interesting. Okay, guys. All right. Last
We shall
question
see.
for speculation for the season finale. Let's go. So the AI states Severance technology collapses. Speculation: the Severance barriers will fail entirely, merging innies and outies across the company, maybe even across the globe, leading to a chaos as characters grapple with their dual identities in a climactic showdown. So here's the basis is why. Episode 7's depiction of Gemma's multiple severed states and Mark's inability to point to the technology's fragility. So here's the question. If Severance's collapse, the technology itself, will it liberate the workers or unleash a nightmare of identity confusion amongst the world?
That would be a huge problem.
Because we don't know how much people are severed, right?
Yeah.
But I think we have a good account that it's across the world, and a lot of people have these jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a very interesting point is this company has been operating a lot longer than people think, especially
Yeah.
like the Severed Floor, because I think that's one of the things we learned with Irving in talking to Bert, because when
20 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
like there's a big gap that people aren't remembering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that will cause mass problems of just because I mean in that sense, like it's like how people have jobs right now where they can't really say anything about their job. They get a certain section of a job. This person gets a section of a job, but they're overall working on a big project, right? Like,
And we sign our lives away. We sign our lives away because of that. on a
NDAs
piece of
are
paper.
very prevalent and
Mhm.
national security and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so it'll be crazy. It'll be big. I think it'll hurt people. It'll hurt people because the big thing with the companies, there's no such thing as reintegration. There's no such thing. No such thing. And if they're so gun ho about that, there's a reason why, because they didn't tested it, and there's something that they don't like about it. Like, we don't want to keep this happening, and that's probably why homegirl, the doctor left. You know what I mean? Because she's like,
Mhm.
there's something wrong here, and they're like, like they're not giving people the option of being alive afterward. Like you're killing them. Once you fire them, you're killing them. So
Yeah. They're
how
not real people.
But yeah, but they are.
Of course.
Yeah,
But like
yeah,
that is what's insinuated, right? They're a
yeah,
product.
yeah. So
They're meat.
and that's the thing, right? Like we're viewing it. We get to view it from the severed floor. We get to see them like on the level where I think most of America, like the guy that works at the mattress company, they just see it as like, oh, you work for that and you chose to do that, like, oh, you're crazy. Like, I guess there were like big fights about it. Like, they allude to it,
Mhm.
like about people getting severed and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it is expansive, and if that tech shuts down, scary work. Same thing with like with all these new automatic cars. You know what I mean? They're rolling
And
around, and then what
maybe that's
happens?
why it's so important Cold Harbor gets done. Because
Mhm.
because the AI goes and searches the internet and that's how it finds all these speculations, right? Maybe it's found enough speculation to state that maybe that's a trope that we're seeing is maybe the tech is failing because he's able to reintegrate, right? People are able to like do like what they call it bootleg reintegration, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
like and maybe Cold Harbor is a way to solidify the product will remain the test of time.
Oh,
Shane?
well,
Well, okay. There's an old trope in filmmaking. If you show a gun in the first act, you need to use it in the final act. Okay?
Chekhov's gun, right?
mhm.
Yeah. They've already showed us that they can do the overtime contingency.
Mm-hmm.
They also mentioned offhandedly when they were downstairs, is everything holding? Is yes, the technology is holding, they said. So yes, I think that that could be a very interesting finale to the series, that they find a way to trigger all of the overtime contingencies and essentially break the technology. And almost like you do in your computer world, a hard reboot. And then who comes back after the hard reboot? Is it the innie or the outie? And that'll fluctuate whichever personality has developed stronger.
Well, if we're talking about computers, things get fragmented.
Yes. Some will be mixed, some will be one, some will be the other. So I think that's a really interesting way to end the series.
Yeah.
Did you guys I know we're talking about another thing, but did you guys see Smile 2?
No, but I heard it's really good.
Wow, is it good? And that actress in there,
I love her.
deserves a nomination for her acting. It is off the charts. But watch Smile 1 is a really good film, and Smile 2 takes it to the next level, and it ends almost like what we're talking about. Like the possibilities for Smile 3 are super interesting. So anyway,
do you need to watch Smile 1 to watch Smile 2?
it goes right into it. It picks right up like immediately after Smile 1 ends.
Okay.
See, I'll be honest with you. Though, like, there's certain movies where I'm just scared of, right? like the theory of Smile and just like everybody smiling, like that freaks me out so bad. There's another movie that dealt with mirrors. Like, nope, I'm not messing with the mirror movie.
Nope.
Nope. You can have that. I never tempted with Bloody Mary. No, I'm good. Y'all can have all that. Like, I'm not playing with y'all. On your recommendation, I'll give Smile a shot. But I'm telling you, like that, like crazy smiles. They scare the hell out of me.
I would love to talk to you about Smile 1 and 2 after you watch it. I know it is scary, and there are definitely some scary moments in it. But it is a movie. But just from the storytelling and the way that it ends is, I think, super exciting. And I want so much for there to be a Smile 3. But anyway, so I don't want to diverge too much.
No. Yeah, no. That's okay.
But I think that, I think that a flip of the switch and a reboot would be an amazing way to end. And basically we're in this tiny town right now. And the very ending of the whole series is the world and seeing all of these people waking up or changing, or could be super interesting.
Yeah,
it's almost like us waking up to, like we were talking about earlier, about these large corporations controlling us in a lot of ways with our phones, and us allowing us to happen by scrolling past 36 pages of, do you agree to this? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, whatever.
I just want to play with my thing and take all my information. I don't care. I just want to be part of whatever this is.
I feel like, so I was talking with Bro last night about spec, and I was just kind of like going on the speculation is, what if this entire show is a representation of us separating ourselves, and we're really just trying to find ourselves to reintegrate ourselves to be one whole person?
Yeah.
Because in reality, if you think about it, if you combine innie and outie Mark together, they actually complete the circle and they become a whole person. And I
100%.
feel like,
yes.
I feel like these people in this town are fractured. Everybody is fractured, and it's not just the people that work at Lumen. Everybody, look at like the people that are like the diner, right? Go look at all these other people. They kind of look boring. And so I really feel like there's a representation about personality and people like always they're indecisive, or maybe they don't know what to do, because in reality we've separated ourselves, whether we have confidence or we're fearful of that. And we're seeing that play out in real time with innie and outie individuals in this show.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do we self-sever ourselves just to deal with things? You know what I mean? Like, something impacts you in your home life, but you have to go to work because you have to make that money. and there's plenty of workplaces will tell you, hey, leave your troubles at the door, man. You're here to work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
severing, you know.
And it also goes to, like, you always telling me stuff like, and I'm in deniability about half of what you say, right? Because I sever myself from that thought of, yeah, I think he's right. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We do that a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Like you are a content creator because you
We don't
literally
need to talk
have
about
a
that.
schedule. You have a content schedule now,
I knew
which
I
makes
should have
you
brought
a
up
Okay,
that
that's
content
totally off
creator.
the topic. Let's move along, guys. That's totally off the topic.
All right, guys. This has been fun. The Severed Floor. Oh my goodness, you guys. What do you guys think of the first episode of the Severed Floor? You guys have a good time. Yeah. Final thoughts, guys, before we get out of here. We talked about episode 7 and our speculation for the season finale. How'd you guys like it so far? VideoShane, final thoughts.
Oh my gosh, this was super fun. I love, we made I feel like we made a great friendship at our time at Decon, and this made me feel like I was back there for just a minute. So this made me happy.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Big Bro.
I love this. I love getting different perspectives. I love, like, from talking with you guys, just coming up with different ideas. Like, oh, this is just what I just thought about right now. Like, I had like 4 or 5 of those moments just talking with you guys. So this is why I tell people sometimes watching the show in real time is so much better, because you get to speculate, you get to think about it and all that stuff. And when you kind of binge watch stuff, you don't get that time and space, to kind of like that was some of the biggest fun of Game of Thrones, was just like, what might happen? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? Now, granted, it was all bad at the end, but there was
Just
like
at the
it was
end.
fun.
Just at the end.
Yeah, that the last 2 seasons. I mean,
Now that was
yeah.
now I'm sorry to derail you on this a little bit, but I just want to point out that was like bad, worse than Lost for me. Game of Thrones.
They didn't stick the landing.
Oh, actually, Lost wasn't bad for me, but I'm just using that as an example because a lot of people were disappointed with Lost, right? I was very disappointed with Game of Thrones.
That was up there with Dexter for me. Like Dexter, I tell people all the time, after season 5, Dexter's dead. Like it's over. Like, Rita's dead. Leave it alone. It's all good. You know what I mean? Same thing with Game of Thrones. Like after like season 5, that's it. Daenerys maybe goes to King's Landing. Who knows? She's still sailing. She's just gone. You know what I mean? Like, don't watch it past this.
Well, to go a little off subject, Shane, you probably don't realize we actually have another YouTube channel. We haven't mentioned it much, but it has to do with movies, and Big Bro was a part of it for a while, where we did movie trailer reactions, and the YouTube channel is called What the Flick. And so I think we did 4 or 5 episodes. We covered Ghostbusters on 2, Frozen Empire. We did Twisters, and I actually enjoyed that movie for a big dumb movie. We covered X-Men 97 and a few other ones. It didn't last long because we found out we were having a kid and we couldn't do that channel anymore. But at the time we had fun. So this reminds me of that channel. But this is a little bit better because we can do it on our main channel. We don't have to show any copyright content, and we can just hang out as friends. I feel like it's just the Hash House all over again, and we're just chilling out. And I'll miss you guys. And I want to say, Shane, we're coming back to Vegas.
Nice. I'll be there.
We are doing it again, brother.
Doing it.
I may not be able to come to Comic-Con, and I don't know if I'm going to make it to New York Comic-Con, but Arcade, I see you. We're coming back, man.
Home field advantage.
It is back again. We're doing it all over again, and we're going to do it bigger, better, and more badass.
We're getting the band back together. I love it.
The band back together, baby. So, guys, this has been awesome. The Severed Floor. Final word, Shane, go.
Oh, this was a lot of fun. I hope we do it again. I enjoyed myself, and I totally agree with what Bro said. For me, this show needs some breathing room. You need to be able to let it sit for a moment and digest, and maybe even do a repeat viewing. And for some things, binge watching is okay, but for this kind of show, it needs that extra time. And to be able to share this with friends and just have fun talking about it and enjoying the art for what it is. And this is all entertainment, and the fact that we're getting so much joy out of it, that we get to talk about it for these, almost 3 hours, just makes me so happy. So thank you for setting it up so quickly. I really, really appreciate it.
Of course, man. To come hang out with you guys, of course. This was a no-brainer, and this was easy. There was not a lot of work in this other than coming up with talking points and some questions. That's it. This was fun, guys. Big Bro, go.
As one of the first employees of the Real Uncommon industry.
You're not an employee.
Industry.
Oh my god! Stop that! Stop that!
Really? This is
I'm
not
gonna
an
mute
industry,
you.
man.
As a number one employee, I just want to say that
Employee of the year.
I feel very valued with my company.
You're going to get an uncommon finger trap.
This is Big Bro we're talking to right now.
The prince is like smiling and making noises right now.
The uncommon, the comic book that we're all trying to buy for, that's my little finger trap. Give me the comic book, I'll be happy with the industries, But like VideoShane said, I love talking about this stuff with friends, and you guys are definitely my friends, and it's really cool, man. And especially for a show like this, just to geek out on, and I'm going to try to get you guys to watch Paradise. I really want to.
Yes.
I'm almost tempted to take you up on that offer. And I want to tell you guys, just because we call the show The Severed Floor, doesn't necessarily mean we can't review anything else. I love the name. That's why I want to keep it.
Nice.
You know what I mean? But The Severed Floor can be anything, right? And so, keep in mind, I think we have a good dynamic here, guys. And I'd like to get more people involved. I know that there were, what was his name? Somebody in the chat last night loves the show as well. Ronnie Lido. Ronnie come up here. Yeah,
we
should
Ronnie.
get Ronnie
He watches loads of shows. There's 10 screens.
Yeah. Let's definitely revisit on trying to come back next week. We'll work in the DMs on trying to figure out a time, and let's talk about episode 8. It's only 37 minutes long. Guys, we've almost been on for 3 hours. It's supposed to be a 1 hour show, and look how far we've gone.
That gives the testament of how good the show is, how good friends are saying that time can fly by, and we're all just here just chilling,
Let's go. D, final thoughts.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming. It's been a lot of fun, just talking about, a show that we all really enjoy watching, and just to get different feedback and just ideas and speculation from you guys is makes you kind of reflect and look at it too from a different perspective. But yeah, it's been really fun, and I really hope we keep doing it even after Severance is all done. So thanks for coming on.
Look at ourselves. Take a look at all 4 of us right now. Don't we kind of mimic certain people from a show?
Bro.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. We're going to see you next week. Take care, and we'll see you later. Bye.